doctors do, you look at the symptoms. Why is it that this great potential, this giant of Africa, this massive strength of blessed lands and blessed people cannot put their hands together? What's wrong? Why can't we have electricity? Why can't we have any semblance of good leadership from independence to the present time? What's the matter with corruption that is being celebrated here? What's the matter with impunity that we can't find any answers? It was in looking at those symptoms, violence all over the place. You couldn't point at anything that looked like a rule of law. It was in examining the agitations that became the response of those who are suffering. In the Niger Delta, you saw them pick up arms. In the Yoruba space, you saw Ghanaian saying it doesn't agree anymore. And all kinds of, everywhere you turn to, somebody was said. So we pulled back and had to interrogate and investigate. What is it that is causing all of this? And we began to see that it was a constitutional arrangement. How did we come about this bad arrangement? We began to trace from what was on the table to the one before it to because since 99 was an adoption of 79, and 79 was a product of Britain. Let me make a small stop in 79. We need to understand where this thing is coming from so that we can understand clearly where we are now, because we have an extraordinary opportunity to get out of this trouble if we understand the keys to that prison gate have been handed over to us by the error, by the fundamental mistake made by this enemy, and it is up to us. The force majeure is like a joint jailbreak by the alliance, the alliance territory, the Yoruba, the lower Niger, which is the eastern half of southern Nigeria, and the middle belt, holding hands where the force majeure is a joint jailbreak from that caliphate prison called Nigeria. And if you want to describe it more properly, one Nigeria, because Nigeria was the federation that died in 1967. Nigeria is a totally different entity from one Nigeria. Everywhere you see that word, one Nigeria, they are telling you the unitary Nigeria that belongs exclusively to the Fulani. And so, to 1979, so that we can go from the known to the unknown. We already know about 1960 and Lancaster House, that we went as three self-governing regions with a constitution to decide to form a federation. That is well known. By 1963, by plebiscite, the fourth region joined Big West, carved out of Western region. That is well known. Then everything collapsed in 66. The attempt to revive it in 67 at Aburi failed, and then it became war. In that war, the first thing the other side did was to fracture the regions into states and took over all the assets of the region from the 27th of May in 1967. Let us note that it's not the coup of January that tampered with the federation. What Hiroshi did in the unification decree was just to set up some kind of governance to stabilize things, pending when the democratic structures are put back in place. In 6 months, it became such a trouble that he was overtaken. He was overthrown on the 29th of July 1966. And it was up to that point, the four regions were intact. They had their military governors, their assets remained their assets, and the federal government was given only what they agreed to contribute. The only thing that changed, since the people that staged the coup did not get to government house,
Can you please mute yourself? Somebody's disturbing us there. Sorry, sir. Comrade told me that is sorry, please. Somebody's disturbing us, please. In such a meeting like this, when you are on, please don't talk, or you mute yourself when you want to talk. Else, you'll be disturbing everybody. Thank you. You can continue, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, as it were, it was almost 1 year after the death of Hiroshi that the structure of the Federation of Nigeria was tampered with for the first time by decree number 14 of 1967 by Gowon. Hiroshi died 29th of July 1966. And the unification decree, the decree number 34 of 1966 was one in which he was trying to set up some kind of governance, because the coup plotters had, decapitated the federal government and two regional governments. The one of the eastern region, the people that went there to get hold of the premier there, found that a European president was visiting the president of Malta, Archbishop Majeure, visiting Omooba. They didn't. There's no way they could have foreseen that a foreign president would be in the company of the man they were going to. So in the waiting for Majeure to leave, somehow the president of Malta. I want us to research this because a lot of false narratives are being thrown around, and these things make our task difficult, because when you are dealing with falsehood instead of truth, you may find yourself, you have more difficulties, because the enemy becomes more glaring and more clear if we know the truth. So it was just the British, it was the BBC that went announcing when all these things were happening, the coloration that it took, so because they knew where they were going. That something, the thing that became war wasn't all about disagreement between Gowon or Chukwu or anybody. It was just how the British wanted to remove all of what were considered in the Lancaster House in that federation, so that it can belong exclusively to their war. And so what happened that became 1979 Constitution was a situation where in 75, from hearing directly from the people who did the work that Gowon asked them to do. He said to the committee, there's no point going up and down to hold another conference. Everything that we need to know is already known. The agreements we need to reach had already been reached. The only thing, the two sides that went to Aburi interpreted it differently. And the mandate he then gave to that committee was to find a way to harmonize, to marry the two sides of the interpretations from Eastern Nigeria and from the federal government of that Aburi Accord of 1967. So they went to work, and this agreement, they managed to find some middle ground here and there, and they got out a document that could have become the draft constitution emanating from the Aburi discussions, Aburi Accord. And it was that document, as they prepared it, that became the reason why the caliphate had to do away with their willing to Gowon. They finished using him for 9 years, did all the killings, but have now taken it was their time to take over all the loot of the war that they now called One Nigeria. And so they were reasoning among themselves that if this constitution that now restores everybody back to what they owned before 66, were to come to life, what would then be their benefit for waging this war? Because they knew, the rest of Nigeria didn't know where they were going with the war. Everybody was rallied into, let's go beat down the East. But they knew where they were going, and that where they were going is what we have now, a unitary Nigeria that belongs exclusively to the Fulani, supervised by the British, who own the project overall. And so it was in an attempt to get rid of that draft from emerging as the constitution by which the democracy will be restored, that Gowon was chopped up in July of 1975. Immediately he was overthrown. The Murtala Mohammed that led, and let us remember that it was Murtala Mohammed that staged the coup of July 29th of 1966. But he was one rank junior to Gowon, and the British didn't want the horse head he was. It was what we could call a maverick. You couldn't place your finger on where he was going with you at any point in time. And he was temperamental. He could just shoot. He acts before he thinks. So the British didn't want him. And so they found a way to manipulate things into Gowon becoming the head. And then 9 years after that first coup, Murtala Mohammed staged the second coup. And the reason for staging that second coup was to now document what they've conquered. And so he commissioned what became the draft that went to this Constituent Assembly. He brought in Rotimi Williams to make out with a chart of instructions, something that go and convert this to a constitution, a working constitution for us, so that we can conduct our handover and the elections that will bring democracy on the basis of that constitution. So it was the caliphate, aided by the British in the background, that dictated what was to become the content of that draft. Rotimi Williams, of course, went looking for people to do the task with him, and he went to Bankoloki so that we can get this report of what transpired step by step. Bankoloki was Rotimi Williams' contemporary. They went to England in the same period to study law, but the Second World War broke out, and Bankoloki went. He was conscripted because if you were from Lagos colony in those days, you had every right of citizen and every responsibility of citizen if you got to England. So they got to England trying to settle down in their class. This Second World War broke out. Rotimi Williams was from Western region. Bankoloki was from Lagos colony. So as a citizen of Lagos colony, he was British. So he was drafted to go fight in the Second War. He fought in Burma and other places. By the time he came back, Williams was graduated. But from that far time back, they were more or less, two young men who went out on that kind of a mission. There was nothing Rotimi Williams would keep away from Bankoloki. So when he was given this task of going to draft this constitution on a blank check, Murtala Mohammed said, look, this is what we want. Go do it however you do it. Bring your bill, we'll pay, whatever you bring. And so it was in that going to Bankoloki. Bankoloki looked at all of what they wanted in that draft. And he merely saw that they wanted to tie us into an apartheid situation, into a situation of master and servant. He advised against it. Wash his hands up. In fact, he even asked William, if you have to travel overseas, you're already a wealthy man. If you do this task for these people, your children and your great-grandchildren are going to spit on your grave the day they find out you are the one who put them in this trouble. Of course, he refused to participate, and Williams went away in search of who will help, because in these are things you require specialties. Like that is people among the lawyers, you say people with drafting specialty. He ended up with Ben Mwabeze, a university lecturer in University of Lagos at the time, the one they call Professor Ben Mwabeze now. Now, Ben Mwabeze happily took on this task with him, and they crafted what became that draft that went before the Constituent Assembly in 1977. It was Bankoloki. Bankoloki was the one that whispered to Awolowo what the people were doing, because he had the privilege of seeing what was contained, what was in that draft that Williams and what's it called, Ben Mwabeze had crafted for the military. In between, Murtala Mohammed had been killed in 1976, and Obasanjo became the one who had to carry through that plan as at that time. Now that draft was ready. Obasanjo was the one that had to convene the Constituent Assembly that would process it into constitution. Of course, the Caliphate had an agreement with him on what they wanted for him as condition for him being president. We need to understand this so that we can know where we are today. In all of what everybody else is suggesting should be done in the situation we are in. We saw Alfred Balola setting up his summit in which Obasanjo will have been playing a part, even now that we say this is what we need to do. So Obasanjo was in setting up that, in becoming the head of state and setting up that Constituent Assembly. The Caliphate insisted that they must have what they have in that draft, because they were satisfied with that draft, that is what will come out from the Constituent Assembly. It was because the Constituent Assembly was going to be more or less a validation, an authentication without, being the authors of the content, that Awolowo was advised against going to join the Constituent Assembly, so he stayed away. Now, they finished their task. In fairness to that Constituent Assembly, Constituent Assembly did not accept the states that were created in place of the regions, because it was in creating those states that the regions lost their assets and their sovereignties. Constituent Assembly didn't accept the presidential system because they knew that it will accumulate power at the center in the manner we have seen, where the president becomes an omnipotent, he could do anything, he could even topple the constitution, and all of such things. The Land Use Act, the Land Use Decree was already in place. They had to smuggle it in. The NYSC Decree of 1973, and let us make a small stop there too. NYSC, ostensibly on the front page, we are told that it was a scheme, the war came. Instead of going to address the issues that led to the war, which are still not addressed today, they decided that it was better for young people who will not be told what really went wrong to go and mix up, that when young people continue to mix up, Nigeria will heal and everybody will move on. That was on the side that you see on the front end. At the back end, the real motive of NYSC, back to our map, was that the children of Sokoto, the children of Kano, the children of Maiduguri would be sent to go to Port Harcourt, to go to Lagos, to go to Warri, to be absorbed in NPA, to be absorbed in NNPC, to be absorbed in Central Bank, because they were all in Lagos and Port Harcourt at that time. Whereas the children of Port Harcourt, the children of Ibadan, the children of Lagos will be sent to this Sharia part to go and perish in Karanamoda, in Potiskum, in Gashua, and all kinds of places. They are just sent to the rural places where there's no possibility of any kind of employment. You are sent to go and teach in rural schools. And you remember the lady that went to do youth service in Bauchi, who got killed by her own pupils for wearing the NYSC trouser to class. The pupil said she had offended their Islam, and then it became a matter of beating her to death, primary school pupils. And so it was in that kind of sending the children of the North to the South to be absorbed that we have 90% of the bureaucracy of Nigeria today was recruited through that process. And that was the main purpose of the NYSC. And that was one of the things they smuggled into that constitution. Long and short of it was that the Constituent Assembly of 1977 finished its task and submitted a clean copy to Obasanjo. On the 21st of September in 1978, I wanted to verify this. Obasanjo went on national broadcast to announce 17 amendments to the finished work of the Constituent Assembly, and then promulgated by decree what he had left from his Supreme Military Council to become the Constitution of 1979, with the preamble again that we, the people, have enacted the damnation it was for everybody. And so when people talk about, there's this argument these days when we say, oh, we reject 1999 Constitution, they'll say, oh, well, if in 1999 they didn't have the time to go through all the processes, they adopted 1979, and 1979 was product of Constituent Assembly. I'm reporting to us now, and I want everybody to verify it. It was the Supreme Military Council headed by Obasanjo that had the last say on what became the 1979 Constitution. And all the changes that the Constituent Assembly introduced to the draft that Murtala Mohammed commissioned were removed in that one fell swoop, 17 amendments. One of the amendments was the restoration of the states, which the Constituent Assembly rejected. The other amendment was restoration of a presidential system, which the Constituent Assembly rejected. Every one of those 17 amendments was that heavy. And so we ended up with the unitary Nigeria that came to town effectively from 1967, but now codified and formalized in 1979. In 1999, when everything had gone the way they went, including the collapse of Abacha and the killing of Abiola, the caliphate was looking for who, because the presidency had now to go to somebody from Abiola's part. Who was it that will do this kind of thing that will bring them back to where they retain all their advantages, in terms of constitutional provisions that guarantee their political majority for them, that guarantee the ownership of our assets in their hands, no matter who else goes to government house. And so I forgot to mention the second part of the agreement for allowing Obasanjo to take over from Murtala Mohammed. The first part was to process the draft they already have made. The second agreement was to make sure that when he will conduct election, that it must be a Fulani that will be president. That was how Shagari emerged in 1979, ahead of people who got more votes than him in the election. We saw that Awolowo went to court, and if you remember the 12 to 3rd, gimmickry, you will discover that it was in keeping of that agreement that we got 1979 Constitution and the Fulani president Shagari, all courtesy of Obasanjo. So there was no difficulty deciding at the time that it was Obasanjo who midwifed the 1979 Constitution that would be in a position to do the things that needed to be done to retain all of that arrangement for them, because he was always on their side in all the debates of what we do in Nigeria. For whatever reason, they were sure he would not disappoint them. And so they coronated him in 1999. And in all the 8 years he was there, I can report to us now. Before now, it was something you had to keep away from public domain. I did this thing that has culminated is this force majeure now. By the way, the force majeure is to enforce the consensus. That is a mechanism by which all of us who have done everything we did in the last 20 years to define the problem, define the solution, and deploy the solution. Step by step from when that 1999 Constitution was adopted. We interrogated it, we saw what was wrong in it, and we began to look at all the options for how to wriggle out of it, because if we did not wriggle out, the people who imposed it will overrun us only in course of time. And the plan we drew up was a 20-year plan, first to create a consensus. What are the things we were seeing? Corruption was being celebrated. Impunity was growing. Infrastructure was decaying more and more. Mediocrity was being celebrated. Everywhere you turn, agitations. In the Niger Delta, they wanted a return to their oil and gas assets. In the Yoruba side, Gani Adams said no. The internal security arrangement of Yoruba land must be in Yoruba hands. That was how everything was constitutional grievance in one form or the other. Every single agitation across the land. So by the time we collated all these agitations and looked at them, we began to look at the sources. What are the reasons for these situations that are being rejected everywhere? We then began to see the pillars of those problems in that constitution. We look back, where is this constitution coming from? We saw 1979. We looked at 79. Oh, no. It didn't start there. We went back to 66 and 67. Then we saw the hands of the British in all of what happened in that 66, 67. Back, further back, we got to 1960 in the manipulations that happened even with Lancaster House. Then we got back to 54. How did we arrive at the federal arrangement? To be sure of what we were looking for. What is it that, why was Western region doing so well? Eastern region doing so well? In the days of Awolowo and Emma Obara, even Northern region of the time. Why are they not suddenly unable to do anything for themselves now? We began to see that it was the seizure and centralization of assets and powers that was the radical departure. And what do we then do? We trace it all the way back to that 1914. It came to where we had to break into the British archives to get at the information that our fathers didn't have. In less than 1 week from now, we are going to be viewing the video of where those things we got from the archives are explained, and the roots of the constitution we have, on the table now, traced to 1914. All of what has become impunity, all of what has become corruption, all of what has become mediocrity that is installed above excellence, all of what has become decentralization that has led to the security arrangement we have seen. Everything that has gone wrong with Nigeria, we were able to trace them in terms of the motive, the principles that would yield this master-servant society, exactly as apartheid was installed in South Africa. And so having traced it all the way to its roots, because when you want to bring down a tree, that is yielding evil fruit. You may go and cut the branches or the leaves, the tree will grow bigger. That's what we have been doing since we got into this trouble. Every time, oh, national conference, oh, let's go and debate it. Oh, let's go and vote another party. The PDP is not doing well. APC will do better. We've been dancing around and around because nobody has identified what the problem is or how to solve it. And the constituent components of Nigeria were just dying off gradually. But by the time we began to see a movement towards extermination, that these people who have subjugated us also have a plan for extermination. They have a plan for bringing their Fulani, kinsmen from all over Africa to become the new owners. Yoruba is in that threat. Igbo is in that threat. Ijo is in that threat. Ogun is in that threat. Our assets are detained. And these people are not going to let go. Anything you do, they have become, because of the states they created and the council areas they created, they become the majority you could not challenge in the place of decision-making in Abuja, even if you are president. Obasanjo was president for 8 years. Jonathan was president for 6 years. I had the privilege of dealing with both of them when they were president. They couldn't do anything because whether it was budget you were looking for projects, the people who will approve it for you are in the majority that have been created by this brigandage. Anything you wanted to do, there was somebody had enough numbers to frustrate you, and you couldn't even introduce the question of going to alter anything. You saw when Lagos tried to create local government areas, and Obasanjo was the one to hold the ladder for the caliphate to prevent Lagos. They seized their funds, cancel funds. You saw every complaint that happened at the time. Obasanjo was holding down the people who were rejecting Nigeria that wasn't working for them. He locked up Ghana Dance and Fashion. He locked up Wazirika Masop. He locked up Asadi Dokuba. All people who are saying this is not working. That was his role. Then we went on to Jonathan. Every attempt he made to address this problem was, rebuffed on a scale that he himself had to lament that even in his cabinet, he had Boko Haram elements. There were generals in the army he commanded that were Boko Haram elements. We have seen how it has played out, that they eventually got to power, and this is what we have seen. And so where we are right now is that plan that we drew up in 1999, having done all of the research, that 20-year plan was deployed sometimes after Sharia was in year 2000 to tell you the basis of this action. I want us to pay particular attention from this point. The basis of the action we are taking, which have been discussed in the international, with all the international stakeholders. We went to New York, the UN headquarters, to discuss with those who will manage the crisis if it becomes crisis. But we showed them our plan for what we wanted to do to solve the problem. We went to Washington and also showed the US, because we were looking for members of the Security Council who will be in full understanding of what the situation is, so that by the time we make our joint push, we are in that prison. And I call it prison because these 12 states that passed Sharia simultaneously in year 2000, they are contiguous. From Sokoto here to Maiduguri there, they passed in year 2000 Sharia. Each of their houses of assembly passed the law, their governors signed into law, and began to enforce by forming Hizbah, the Sharia police. And so we interpreted their action as secession from the secular union of Nigeria. Because Section 10 of the Constitution of Nigeria is so straightforward that you couldn't misinterpret it. It says the government of the federation or that of a state shall not adopt any state religion. Full stop. That's the shortest section in the Constitution. As bad as it is, that is the section that makes Nigeria a secular state. So when 12 contiguous states will act simultaneously to impose Sharia and began to enforce it, we looked at it, there was due process. The houses of assembly passed the law. There was due process that the governor signed into law, and nobody complained very bitterly from amongst them to the rest of us that they are taking them to where they all rejoiced and carried on with their life, inconveniencing the rest of us from the rest of the country. People had to relocate because if you ran a beer parlor, they beat you up. If you go holding hands with the lady next door, again, they can club you down. So people began to relocate from that part. We interpreted it to mean that they have seceded from the secular union we agreed to be. We also interpreted it that they had exercised their right to self-determination because that is what they want in their space. And therefore, because the constitution by which they have been imposing themselves on us has our signature, pay attention. This constitution says, we the people, having solemnly resolved to live together. From the story you heard of both 1979 and 1999, did the Yoruba go to any meeting? Because the one of 1999, which is how God determined to save us, the one of 1999, they actually published by error the decree number 24 by which the 1999 constitution was promulgated. The instruction in that decree, decree, is that the decree itself will not be printed by the federal government printer. But in their desperation to get home with their loot, they were careless, and that decree number 24 was printed in the body of the constitution that was gazetted and given to embassies. This project that has come to culmination now, that 20-year plan, was anchored on the proof provided by that decree number 24, is because it's still inside the document up to this moment, though they tried to print a second version that removed the story. What was in that decree number 24? Absalom Abubakar told the story of how he set up a committee, Constitution Debate and Coordination Committee, or debate coordinator, whatever, went around that they asked people, and most people wanted a return to 1979, and therefore the report came back to Supreme Military Council, which then added and subtracted. I'm telling you what is in black and white, which you can verify at the click of a button at this hour. Call up the 1999 Constitution and look for the introductory part where you have decree number 24. It's a 2-page document, 2 sections. It has only sections 1 and section 2. Section 1, subsection 3 is where Absalom Abubakar wrote the instruction that the Constitution, when it had to be printed, have to omit that decree so that nobody will ever hear that it was a coordinating debating committee that wrote Constitution for everybody. But they printed it in error. So immediately they finished the election and they swore in Obasanjo in 1999. We saw that big loophole that our signature had been put on this document. We already knew what was in 79 Constitution. The only thing they added is in 99 were the states, the more states they created between the ones of 76 and the ones of 99. All those things were just the only difference between 79 and 99. And so we said to ourselves, since our signature, again, another basis, we've talked about Sharia, because Sharia is mutually exclusive with democracy. Sharia and democracy cannot cohabit in one political space. What is the reason? The adherents of Sharia owe it a duty of faith to kill the infidel. That duty will never go away. Whatever you do to solve all the other problems about equity and equality, you are never going to find an answer, as we saw in the case of Pakistan and India. You are never going to find an answer to somebody who owes it a duty of faith to kill you as infidel. No matter how you pretend everything is okay, the next day he's upon you trying to kill you. And in their worldview, you not only are you to be killed, you are not to own anything. They have to recover from you whatever belongs to you. And so that is one leg of damnation. The bigger leg of damnation then is the matter of putting our signature on a document that now defines the union in the manner contained in that constitution. The 36 states that now make us a minority, the 68 items of exclusively that seize all the economic assets. The reason all of us in the diaspora, 90% of the people who are in the UK, in the US, in Europe, in Asia today, who have been out there for upwards of 10 years, 90% of them will have preferred to come back to Nigeria. The only reason they're not coming back to Nigeria is that they have no Nigeria to come back to. These people have seized that Nigeria. They become the exclusive owners of all economic assets. All the opportunities is only as they give to you, because that is what is contained in that constitution. When you hear about 68 items of exclusive list, federal exclusive legislative list on that constitution, the electricity we don't have, that is where it is anchored. Only the federal government can generate electricity. And a country of 200 million people is still discussing 5,000 megawatts of electricity that cannot service Lagos. We have the potential to generate 50 or 100,000 megawatts if that provision is removed from that exclusive list. But who is going to remove it? The same people that implanted it, they knew what they were doing. You generated all the electricity, they went and switched it, whoever they gave got electricity. Whoever they didn't give will not get. As it is with the electricity, you see the refineries. You are hearing about increment of fuel price that is about to come again. The only reason we don't have petrol for a country that generates 3 million barrels of crude oil every day, the only reason we can't have petrol is that refineries are on that exclusive list. Unless that constitution goes down, nobody is going to get anything better than what we see now, where we're buying at international prices for a people with the kind of miserable income that Nigerians have been subjected to. The same way you go to the one of the insecurity, this one that everybody is shooting at everybody. The arms and ammunition are on that exclusive list. Your governors, none of your governors can issue one rifle to anybody, including vigilante. Every gun in the land, as long as that constitution is there, is controlled by the federal government. The federal government, as we know, is an illicit federal government because it is not, we cease to be a federation. How can you have a federal government without a federation? And so the Fulani hijacked that federal government. That federal government had hijacked the federation itself. And so we are just serfs. We are slaves in the prison yard called One Nigeria, operated by the Fulani. And so this action we have taken now is the culmination of that 20-year plan that began with, I'm sure most of us heard about Pronaco. Pronaco was where we called a meeting of the nationalities across Nigeria, and to reach a consensus that we would then enforce if we agree that we have to rework our federation. The conference was successful in producing a draft that could have taken us back to what we missed in Aburi. Everything that was agreed in Aburi was what we put before the ethnic nationalities, and we agreed on carrying forward our union on the basis of the outcome of that conference. We had 164 ethnic delegations. I was at the heart of it, so I can report on it. I was actually the secretary of the Constitution Drafting Committee. Professor Jadeshola Akode, who was the vice chancellor of Lagos State University at the time, was the chairman. Senior advocate Solomon Asemota, the one that is in Benin, is still alive and well, was the vice chairman of that committee. I was the secretary. And all the manuscripts, everything we wrote in longhand are still intact in the places we preserved them. And so what we did in that Pronaco, 2005, 2006, was to call the ethnic nationalities to a sovereign conference. After waiting for government between 1999 and 2000, you remember when everybody was asking for sovereign conference, and Obasanjo was abusing everybody. Even when in 2004 we announced that we were going to have this conference of the nationalities, Obasanjo went on national television to accuse us of treason. He said if we call that meeting, it will amount to treason, and he was going to beat us all up. Enohoro speaking, Soyinka speaking, Ojukwu standing, Sisi Ono standing. All the people that, when he made that announcement, everybody began to come to join us. And he saw that it would be a misadventure if he tried to stop it. What did he do? In December of 2004, because we had announced it midway into 2004, in December, when he saw the build-up, he then suddenly announced the appointment of a committee headed by McCarthy, the governor of Kaduna State of the time, to now plan his own conference. That was what became the conference of 2005. We decided to stay away from it because we knew that the procedure they were adopting is like building a house from the roof. They think that even now, all this restructuring everybody is shouting about, what will restore Nigeria to any, apart from this preliminary objection of Sharia, That one has to be solved before any other thing that will lead to any kind of union. Because the collapse of that constitution is end of union. Let us get it straight. What we set out to do in everything that has become this constitutional force majeure was to put in place something we could take to the international community as what we wanted in place of what we are rejecting. If you don't do that, you may have all your pains. The international community will not, they're only looking at 300 ethnic nationalities that will collapse into Somalia if we don't stay together. So the only prescription is all of you stay together, manage it the way it is. But by the time we did this work over these 20 years, we were able to, distill down something that could be managed instead of having to deal with 200 or 300 nationalities that want to be countries of their own. Since Nigeria is not holding, we now have this formation in which the people who are past Sharia, we bid them farewell in self-determination. The rest of us, in rejection of the constitution that was imposed on us by them, with our signature on a document we didn't make of our damnation, we said we don't need any meeting with them to proclaim that we did not make this constitution. And we went through all the democratic processes that were put to a view of the international community every step of the way. I'm sure we heard about the Solemn Assemblies, the one in Ibadan, 7th of September in 2017. Before then, the one in Port Harcourt, 27th of April 2015, where the nationalities of all these 3 blocks had gathered in one place, under one roof, to announce to the international community that the constitution by which Nigeria was convened was a fraud and that they will not accept it as basis of the union going forward. By the time we had done it in the 3 blocks, because on the 18th of July in 2018, the Middle Belt also did their own. So these 3 blocks in the alliance, in readiness for this joint action, had formally repudiated that constitution. And then on the 11th of December in 2018, we came together for the first time under the aegis of the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. Before then, it was an alliance we called the MNN, Movement for New Nigeria, which was actually Movement for No Nigeria, but we called this Movement for New Nigeria to give it a cover. But it was an alliance of organizations. I am secretary to an organization called Lower Niger Congress. And realizing that Lower Niger Congress could not rescue the East all by itself, we reached out to those who were complaining in Yoruba land to also gather themselves to be ready to rescue the Yoruba from the Nigeria, and the Middle Belt to rescue themselves in that one joint action to take down that constitution and end the union that it creates. Our targeting the constitution, going by the preamble that says we the people have solemnly resolved to live together as one indivisible country, our targeting the constitution is to end the union it created. I'm sure some of us had Yadudu, Professor Awalu Yadudu, that processed that constitution in 1999 for Absalom Abubakar. I'm sure some of us had him in the middle of last year, I think July 2020, when he raised an urgent alarm, Guardian newspaper published it. Yadudu raised alarm that he had information that there were people who were going to attack the basis of the constitution of Nigeria, that if that were to happen, that the legal basis of the union will be unhinged. These are his words. Professor of law. He was Abacha's chief legal advisor. And when Abacha died, Absalom Abubakar retained him. He was the midwife for how that constitution emerged in 1999. So for him to be saying that an attack on that constitution will unhinge from the angle we were coming, because we were coming from the angle of disputing the authorship. We say this document is a forgery to the extent that we did not make it, and it wrote down in its preamble that we made it. The life of the constitution depends on that falsehood. And so what we did was to put in place a process that first established what we have.
Please, Comrade Nnadi, sir, sorry, please. V2027, please, you're making noise. Unmute yourself, please. Please, V2027, you are disturbing us, please.
Sorry, I've muted everyone. So if you're now wish to speak, yeah, you're gonna have to mute yourself.
Okay. Comrade, sir, you can continue, sir.
Yes. So I had to go through all of these to make it clear to us that there was a clear pathway to extricating ourselves from the bondage the world calls Nigeria, especially as defined by that constitution. And because our signature is what gives life, every day, the constitution they say is a living document. Every day that constitution stands is because it is because of that claim, that pretense that the Yoruba sat with the Jaw, sat with the Ogoni, sat with the Bero, sat with the Thief to submit themselves into this union. Every single provision of that constitution begins with that preamble. For instance, the Port of Lagos, that is now the exclusive property of the Fulani from independence to date. Not one Controller General of Customs of Yoruba origin. But the Port of Lagos, if Nigeria were to cease to be today, that port belongs to Yoruba 100%. Now, the only reason Fulani has been controlling it and taking away 2 trillion plus every year, which Lagos does not get even 5% of in the allocation they get from oil. When you look at what is happening in Ondo oil and bitumen, you look at all the taxes, almost 60% of all the taxes, when you put it together, coming from Lagos. What does Yoruba get from all of it, other than insult and more insult and banishment from the land? So, but that preamble to tell you exactly how the entire thing operates, that preamble is read into every provision for you to understand the depth of the mischief. That preamble talking about the port that belong to federal government, it will then read that we, the Yoruba, having agreed with all the other people, also now accept that this port belongs to Nigeria, that the Fulani can control forever. That we, the Yoruba, talking about arms and ammunition on the exclusive list, that we, the Yoruba, having agreed with all the others, have looked at everything, and we think the federal government can protect all of us. Therefore, we surrender the right to arms to federal government. Anything they do, we're okay with it. The quota system we lament, it is that constitution that set it up, and that preamble reading into it for quota says, oh, well, you see, because Nigeria is a big country, we have to accommodate one another. That is what it sounds like if you begin to interpret it. That preamble applies to every single provision throughout the Constitution, to the last page. That preamble can be read to be the basis of the appropriation that gives the spare key to your governor and the president to take from the treasury whatever they find without reference to anybody, including National Assembly or State Assembly. That preamble is the basis for the Section 308 that gives blanket immunity to the heads of the executive branch in respect of anything that you could call crime, whether it is treasury they are looting or people they are killing. That preamble suggests that we all agree that the heads of the executive branch should be beyond the interrogation for any wrongdoing, except they leave office. So in all of it, we just say we're taking one item. All the people that are talking about amendment of our complaint about the Constitution is not really about these provisions. Our principal complaint is that we never met, we never agreed to live together as one union. Unless that is resolved, we are not interested in all the provisions of the Constitution because it renders the document a forgery. The fact that we never met, and there's proof of it, we went to court after we finished Monaco. The first step we took in executing our consensus was to go to court in 2007 to tell the global community that we did not make this constitution. They thought we were going to wait for what the judge would say. They didn't know that at law, any document that turns out to be a forgery fails the moment it is discovered. You don't need any court pronouncement. Somebody goes to the bank with a check you didn't sign. He may be your driver or somebody the bank people know in connection with you. He can scribble a signature that looks like your own, and because they know him to be coming from you, at times he goes and takes money. The day you come to the bank and he's there to take money as usual, but you didn't give him any check, if you raise an alarm, would the bank give him money that day? The bank will not give him. Nigeria is cashing the value of 3 million barrels of crude oil on account of this signature. They put there your signature, my signature. Nigeria is sending people from Sokoto and Kano to come and kill people in Ibadan and Ogbomoso every day on account of that signature of yours and my signature, which we never put. And since we have proof that we didn't make it, on account of that decree number 24, they printed in error. We took it before the court to say, Judge, here is the story of this constitution written by the author. He says he formed a committee that went around and came back to him, and he passed what the committee brought as a constitution. But he goes in another page to say, we the people have solemnly resolved to submit ourselves. We never met. From what you can see here, it's not our story, it is his own story, that he set up a committee. The meeting that can become constitution is one in which people that could be countries of their own, Yoruba that could be a country of 50, 60 million people, must be the one sitting down with the thief to decide first to submit themselves into the union, and second, to agree on the terms of being in the union. It's like the memo and the articles of a company. And therefore, since we never met and we never agreed on anything, we never wrote any constitution, the only way to solve that problem is to accept that we have not made any constitution. Do you know where that leaves us? We have no union. And we didn't want anarchy. That was why we went this long road. Right now, on the 16th of December, having fulfilled all righteousness of organizing everybody according to how they want to live their life, we now come together to this joint jailbreak. That is what that constitutional force majeure is. So for the Yoruba, particularly the Omooba that is organizing the others as the lead organization in the alliance in the Yoruba space, the destination you seek is freedom, is independence from Nigeria. The road to that freedom, the gate, the prison you are in is that constitution. And since you seek the same destination as the East and the Middle Belt, all of us want to run away from, all of us want to escape from this Fulani onslaught, from this brigandage, from this union of death and master servant. We have come together to charge through what is left. Since we have taken the life out of that, we have pulled back our signature from that constitution. That was what we did on the 16th of December. To proclaim to the outside world. Was it not by the proclamation of one person sitting in one corner of England that Nigeria was created in 1914? Was it not the proclamation of one person, the crown in England? Who can suggest that our joint proclamation, in the face of all the evidence we have supplied, and in the face of all the processes, democratic processes, and in the face of the UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples, we say that if you are an indigenous nationality on your ancestral space, you are entitled to be there by yourself. It's on account of that instrument that Scotland went to referendum to decide whether they will be in UK or not. It's on account of that provision that the UK itself went on referendum to exit from the EU. Why can't we push ourselves to where we exercise that right? We need to now cause a logjam. The Oodua Republic will not fall from the sky. The work we have to do is to take down that prison wall so that everybody can vote. 75% of the work, 75% of the work to do to get the Oodua Republic is in finishing off that constitution, because it leaves us with a no union situation. I'm sure you've seen that map of Nigeria broken into 4. Yoruba have their own constitution. The eastern part, the Charter of Relationship, bringing the Ijaw, the Ogoni, the Anang, the Efik. That was why we told our brothers who are doing Biafra, there's no map you can put to Biafra. There's no map you can put to Biafra, no matter how you try. Because the Biafra of 1967 was disputed, because the states have been created before the Eastern region declared itself on the 30th of May. Those states were created on the 27th of May in 1967. So the river states that has now become Rivers and Bayelsa, and then the southeastern state that has now become Cross River and Akwa Ibom, are going to tell you that they were not part of the eastern region that became Biafra. And we have explained to all these our brethren shouting Biafra all over the place. You are making this task impossible, because if they refuse to listen to you because you sat in England and said you were going to restore Biafra that include their land without talking to them, if you think back at what went wrong in 1967, you see the same thing. Igbo will swallow you. So if there's an Igbo leader, supreme leader at that, surrounded by Igbo elements as the ones doing the Biafra, why can't we call it self-determination? Why can't we call it independence? Why can't we, if you go to the UN today to say, oh, Biafra, they are going to ask you, where is the map? You want, imagine if the Yoruba doesn't have a map now of where their territory is, or the territory they want independence. Is it not the map that you first settled? You settled the map, you now bring your draft constitution. This is how we want to govern ourselves. Those are the two documents you must first present. In the eastern part, the Lower Niger Congress, where I'm secretary, identified all the nationalities. We got a map that showed the Ogoni on Ogoni land so that they qualify at the UN. You are not qualified under any other guise. You must be Yoruba on Yoruba land. You must be John Ijoland to qualify for that right to self-determination. If you say you're coming as Biafra, no diplomat in his right mind will meet with you. No diplomat will meet with you if you say you want self-determination for Biafra. You are just entertaining yourself. And I can report to all of us now that all of those who have been waving the Biafra flag across the globe, not one of them has met with any single official of either the United States at any level, or the UN at any level, or the EU. I happen to have been the one that went into those places. I've spoken in Congress, I've spoken in Senate, I've spoken in State Departments, I've spoken at the UN headquarters on this subject matter. And anybody who can verify, anybody who can bring evidence of any one meeting, everything you see is Photoshop. And they're disgracing us all over the world because what they're presenting does not pass the test. We have a plan that can get us to where we're going, but they want to make profit. They want to be popular. And then look at the carnage going on in eastern Nigeria today because you want to pretend you're doing something you're not doing. You say you want to go and fight soldiers and behead policemen, then everybody become a non-gunman. So I'm just informing us that the thing we have to do to get to where we're going must exclude all such things. We have discussed with the world. You saw that the US, the UK, the EU, only in April, 28th, 29th, 30th of April, took a common position about Nigeria, pointing them at what we have in that proclamation of December 2020 is what these three world powers are pointing Nigeria to. The summary of it, they say, this matter is not one for gone. European Union captured it more elaborately than others. It says, Nigeria, this matter is not one for gone. You must put your guns aside. It is a dialogue of the owners of the land that is required, and you must now make a fresh legal instrument. I think that is what I wanted to share with us so that we can have a clarity, the level of clarity that can take us through the journey where we have ahead. God has delivered us from this bondage. That constitution is gone, but it is our task to now stand up and tell the politicians that want to drag us to another election that will renew the life of that constitution that we are not going to any further election. If we do not do that task of stopping them from taking up to election, I'm sure most of us had the British High Commissioner threatening that anybody who would disrupt the journey to 2023 will be denied the British visa. Can you imagine the insult? I'm sure some of us saw the reply we gave to her. She's talking nonsense. We have reduced all this campaign to one item. If we're able to stop the journey to that election, that is when it will become manifest to the global community that we have rejected that constitution. The international community is waiting for us. They've done their part. We're the only ones who have to do our part now to say to our politicians, you can't take us, since all of the political parties subscribe to that constitution. Whoever wins the election will swear to defend and uphold that apartheid constitution. On what basis are we then to allow them to go and renew one more time the constitution that enslaved us? So our own task in all of this, we've not been asked to go and get AK-47. We've not been asked to go and behead with Fulani in Kano. We are just saying that Yoruba can stand in Yoruba space and say that having endured this constitution for 21 years, we will not go to any further elections under it. Political parties close shop now, not boycott. We're not talking about boycott. We're talking about 2021. All the political parties must close shop. Anybody who does not close shop if it is the fight of forcing them to close shop that we have to undertake, it's a much cheaper fight than the day AK-47 will turn up at our spade. If we don't undertake that fight to stop them from going to election, the Britain that is shouting is because they now see that having defeated that constitution, if we're able to stop the journey to election, the constitution will collapse. That is, the collapse of the election will collapse the constitution, and the union will be manifestly at an end. We're in a position to do all of this in less than 6 months. The 120 days we took on the April 90, because we gave the federal government 90 days, they didn't come. We gave the governors 30 days, they didn't come. They didn't know we were setting traps for them. We are not in any hurry to go in. We don't need any meeting with them. The right to self-determination is inalienable. I happen to have been directly involved in how the instrument emerged from the UN in 2007. I had the privilege of sending Coalition Inca to Kofi Annan. It's between the three of us that instrument emerged in 2007. So there's nobody alive on the continent of Africa today that can tell more about what that instrument can be used for. 5 countries have become independent standing on that instrument. Scotland will have been the 6th. That instrument is completely available to us. It was because of our case that we went to fight over it. That instrument has been outstanding since after the Second World War. The countries that have state relation issues at home were the ones ganging up against it. But when Kofi became secretary, there was an opportunity for us to push it. And by the time I spoke to Soyinka, he went to him. Kofi said, look, if you can find 6 countries, that was how it came. So I'm reporting to us authoritatively that we have everything we need to get out of that contraption, and nobody's going to be able to fire one shot at us if we work with the rules. That's why I want to anchor it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we please clap for our guest? Can we please unmute ourselves and let's clap for him? Let's clap for him.
Thank you very much.
Wow. This is wonderful. Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. We just want to say a big thanks to you. You see, in the process of his speech,
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Something came to me. I said, "Wow, truly, thank you." I said, "Truly, this man is an Anthony." And to all of us that has been saying, Mr. Tony Nnadi, please, that's a mistake. Is an Anthony. Please, and if you hear all he's been saying, so please don't rank him, please. Please, Sir Anthony, and please stop calling him Mr. It's not a Mr.
No, I'm fine with Mr. I don't want to.
So when he was delivering his speech, I said, wow. No, it's good. You are good at what you are doing. So we say big thanks to you. Thank you so much. And once again, I want to say big thanks to our Iron Lady for bringing Tony Nnadi at this point in time. See, at the first time when he said he's bringing him, I said, well, it's good. That's good. But not even knowing that she sees far more than what we are seeing. So please, can we please clap for our head, Mrs. Shola Salako? Please clap for her. Thank you so much for bringing Anthony into our meeting at this point in time.
Very much,
honestly, this is a big eye-opener. Sincerely yours. I don't know about you, but I'm more nourished in this journey. And I have the strength even to go further. I was discussing with somebody today, our able Secretary General, the diaspora, the man is so vibrant. I was telling him, I said, as far as this journey is concerned, I am ready to resign from my work to pursue this. And I'm not joking. I mean it. I'm happy for people we have that are leading us. Thank you so much. Comrade, Mr. Salako, can I please hand over to you? Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Adeye, I was just going to say, because it is such a privilege to have Tony Nnadi with us, we'll take 3 questions, because I noticed you've been speaking for almost an hour and a half. I can speak. We'll take 3 questions, and then we will release you to continue your good work.
Then let me add to what Mr. Salako said. after the 3 questions, if you have a question and you see it's very, very important, please just drop the message and we will check the message. And Mr. Lesalako will undo that. If it is what Anthony we have to answer, we answer, and through our diaspora head, Mr. Lesalako, you will get the feedback. Thank you so much. So according to our boss, when my boss is speaking, who am I to say A or B? Whatever she says is the final. And because Tony Nnadi has been speaking for quite a time now, thank you so much for that strength. I will only entertain 3 questions. I can see that somebody has been raising hand before now, Dusumu, but later the hand wasn't up again. Maybe in the process of the speech, this person has been cleared of the message. But at the moment now, before we ask the questions, I just want to say big thanks to our media people. Omooba, thank you so much. Mr. Marcos Dijele, oh, thank you. This man has been so powerful and he's been behind our media. Thank you so much. Then thank you, Omooba brought another media, Thank you so much, our media people, for the wonderful job you've been doing. We say a big thanks to you. Thank you once again. So, firstly, I want to call on, please, we have 4 hands up, but since our boss said we are calling 3, sorry, please, we only call 3. I want to call on the first person, Desmori Alayode. Please unmute yourself. Please just go straight to the question. Straight to the question, please.
Need to give it to me. First of all, let me thank Mr. Tony.
Not Mr. Please. Not Mr.
Should I call him Chief or should I call him Barrister?
Is not Tony Barrister? Thank you.
Yeah, I hear him saying that he's happy to be called.
Please, sir. You have to give him that respect. That is what he will say. Let's give him that respect.
Give me the opportunity to talk, please, sir.
No, I have to correct you, sir. I have to correct you, sir. There's nothing bad in this. Go ahead now.
Mr. is a very respectable title. Mr. is a very respectable title.
Right. Correct. That's what I prefer.
Mr. is very respectable.
Right.
Actually means mature and respectable.
I respect.
That's what
continue, please.
Mr.
I'm an academic and I understand what I'm saying.
I want to appreciate what you've been doing, and I think you have so much educated us enough today. I will start with your last comment about the Scotland. I was there 2014, and I experienced the referendum. The Scottish people, I'll tell you, with everything on ground, they won their referendum, but they were cheated. Yes. I won't go too much into that. They were cheated, and it was almost about to become an issue. But the white people, they know the way they do their things. They know how not to bring discredit to the system. So let me leave it that way. So this question, our problem lies with the traitors among us.
Sorry, sir. Let's please tell this person to unmute, please, so that we can hear our speaker very well. The question is asking is very sensitive. Please unmute yourself. Is it Mr. or Mrs. Tosin? Please.
Mute. It's mute.
Thank you, sir. Continue.
Yes, our problems lies with the traitors among us in the whole of the alliance regions.
Yes.
We have identified and we have found out that the population of the Fulanis is not as they like to be. But they always carry out their evil agenda by looking out for the greedy ones among us. Our problem now is dealing with the greedy ones among us, because this is a big task. On the basis of this, I'm in support of everyone to their tent. I believe when we get to our tent, we can start to deal with ourselves rather than dealing with outsiders who are infiltrating us. So what do you think about this, sir?
Yes, I can tell you right away that on this occasion, if we do what we are, advised to do, what we have been directed to do, and I must tell us, Professor Banja Akintoye that is leading you, he spent an awful lot of time to understand every working of this proposition. And as I speak with you, he was expecting me I'm in Lagos. He's outside Lagos. He was expecting me to come. Almost every week we get to sit down, and he gets to know what connects what everywhere. And so the question you asked, this referendum we're talking about will be mandated by the UN Security Council, because we have escalated the matter of Nigeria. I'm sure we recall that in August of 2019, there was a UN special rapporteur called Agnes Callamard that had to be dispatched to Nigeria shortly after our discussions with Washington in 2019, between January and July, end of July, who were explaining to the US how the situation in Nigeria will haunt them if they don't come along with us. We showed them that ISIS had come into our space, invited by our government, with our president at the head of it, Buhari. What became Boko Haram that joined forces with ISIS in 2014 to become ISWAP, and I'm sure all of you heard that ISWAP is in town now, killing off Shekau. We told the US that if you don't come along now, that monster called ISIS and their kinsman Al-Qaeda, they are making a convergence in Nigeria, and the whole of West Africa, in addition to Nigeria, will be in their hands, and they will be 10 times more powerful than they were in the Middle East, because they will have the sovereign facilities of Nigeria, including Nigeria's resources and military hardware at their disposal, and even Nigeria's international clout. Since our president is in search of how to, spread Sharia amongst us, this joint venture is between the two of them for ISIS to have an operational base and for the Fulani of all of Africa to have a homeland. Therefore, the US saw a national security emergency for themselves in the case we have come to present. And therefore, they began to roll out, interrogations that became policy. I'm sure you heard of the things they've done about Nigeria. We left Washington in July. By August, a UN special rapporteur, because the US has its ways around the UN, a UN rapporteur was sent to Nigeria to go to investigate the extrajudicial killings that were rampant all over the place. And that rapporteur came up with a report that the Nigerian constitution was like pressure cooker for injustice, that the killings, all the things happening to Nigeria was a result of the wrong constitutional arrangements we have, and that is like pressure cooker for injustice, and that Nigeria under that constitution has become a danger to the global community, because if nothing happens soon enough to address the situation, that Nigeria will unravel and 200 million people will be looking for refuge. And therefore, in between what the US has to deal with in terms of ISIS that could be contained if this constitution goes down, because if this constitution goes down, what you see is here. All of us will be on one side. The people that brought ISIS will be quarantined. So we took a quarantine plan to the US. We didn't go to them to ask them to come and have mercy on us. We went to them to say, come and get your enemy. We have something, you don't want to send troops all around the world anymore. We have something you can use to solve this particular one. The US bought into it, and it's a bipartisan situation. The fact that Trump is not there and Biden is there, the people who will deal with it already took a decision. And so my further answer to you is that the matter of how we get to that referendum is a UN Security Council mandated referendum that will happen for Nigeria on account of the size of the problem. Secondly, the countries that have interest in solving it according to this our own prescription. That was why they spoke up a few weeks ago. Thirdly, we are not going to use INEC register or any of these. Those demons you are talking about, our regional renegades. We know the people you are talking about. We can call their names, but no point. The day elections, the journey to election collapses, That 2023 that British High Commissioner is crying about now, for which we have told her she's a lunatic.
Yeah. Sir, let us work with the Scottish more than the England.
Catriona Laing, we responded formally to her to say, you created this problem. It has consumed so much life and livelihoods. We are struggling to solve it now. Who are you to come to tell us that we must go to another election under an apartheid constitution? You have no say in it. We have reported her back to our home government, and we have in fact told the British public to demand her immediate recall. Because if Nigeria unravels, the US, the UK, everybody who has a visa will come to join them. Everybody who has a relation will bring them to their place. They will have big problems. So it is something their populace should join in calling their government to order, so that they can allow us to sort out our affairs.
Yeah.
Is 100 years not enough for them to come and suck us this dry? We are in a position to solve our problem now. We don't require their guidance in the manner they've guided us since over 100 years. This is where they've guided us to. So those local demons we are talking about, they will be looking for where to hide their head. They will be running away from here, but the ones who are more angry than the rest of us at home will be waiting for them abroad. Let us stop the journey to election. The day they say election is not going to happen in 2023, will that principality of Western Nigeria be going about looking for who will coronate him? He will run away. As it is with him, so it is with the other people. Our task is to terminate the life of that constitution by terminating the journey to election. That's the answer to your question, sir. And the voter register we're going to use will be generated by us. We're not going with anything INEC does. Yoruba can document their numbers for referendum. The software to do it is already built. The software to do all of what we want to do to get that will be made available to the UN when we get to that. We have to cause this logjam. We have to cause this stalemate. We're in a position to do that within the first half of 2021. If by the close of July, we've not done that, I tell you, we run a risk. But there's no reason why we can't do what is left now to cause that logjam. We are not going to election. That's the end.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, are you satisfied with the answer? Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you.
100%.
Thank you, sir. Please, some are making noise at the background. Please, you are disturbing us. Who is speaking under the
Sorry, what I've done is I've muted everyone. Now, for those who didn't hear it earlier, we are only taking 3 questions. We've taken 1 already, and I noticed that there are 2 questions from Australia. So, and then there's 1 from Italy. So we'll take the question from Bode Ogunjobi from Italy, and then 1 of the Australian questions, and then that's it. No more questions for Mr. Nnadi. Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma. Okay, Dr. Motosha. Sorry, Mr. Wadi, sorry, please. Dr. Motosha, the question, then our able comrade, because then we now come last. Egunla.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Attorney Nnadi, we thank you so much and we love you so much. And we pray that God preserve you and your work, you see the end of it in Jesus' name. Now, the question is, what is, you said we need to cause a logjam. And I can see the passion with which you spoke. Can you please throw more light on what we can do, especially those of us in diaspora? What must we do to educate our people? Because now people are running around. They'll start at the ward level. They'll start giving them money and sharing things, and they're preparing them for governorship elections, some state, maybe later this year or next year. And then how do we really penetrate? Can you throw more light on what we can do to stop people's mind from even thinking about, I think that people need more education, more awareness. Can you please help us to develop strategies on that? Thank you.
Yes, it's if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. It's a straightforward matter. It's a people's power kind of a situation. Our populace are now living in the terror and apprehension, of death. Fulani is everywhere, waiting to come upon them. We only need to spread this information that their salvation is in stopping the politicians from holding the ladder further for the Fulani, because Fulani comes to every square inch of Yoruba space only on account of that constitution. Only on account of that constitution. We've endured it for so long and they've penetrated us this much. What we have to do right now, like I said, the choice is between the fight of stopping them. How many of them that we cannot, the rest of us cannot, the populace can be mobilized to say, political party, close shop now, not tomorrow. If that is the fight we're undertaking, it's a cheaper fight than the one of AK-47. If because we don't want to offend because this one, we're not talking about our cousins and our sisters who want to be president and who want to be governor. Is that not the case? They are going in the name of Yoruba, but they are going to have to swear to defend and uphold that constitution that bring death to our land, that bring Fulani to our space. And having done all of what we did, if it is only a few politicians and political parties, luckily for us, only political parties contest elections. They are Mechi case.
I think it's frozen.
I think it's his internet.
I think it's yeah.
I think it's his internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it's back. Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Was I muted for? Was I off for a while?
Yeah, your internet.
But he was hearing me.
Yeah. No. We couldn't hear you at a point, but now we are hearing you.
Okay. His question. Let's just take it quickly. His question has to do with the matter of the people preparing for election.
Yes.
He said I talked about lockdown, how to stop them in that journey. The election is in 2023. The reason the British High Commissioner jumped into the ring is because we are closer to succeeding than them dragging us to election. All this commotion of 21 years engagement, God has reduced the task to one item for us now. Our salvation, our liberation, our independence is guaranteed if we perform that one task. Give me the graphics. The one, domino 1 and 2. I'm going to show you in graphics how the task is reduced to one item. If we succeed, and when I say we, all of us in this alliance territory, mobilize the populace, and we have all we need to be able to do that. What are the things we need? The information that we have all of this going on and that it now requires the stoppage of the journey so that we can take down now we're going to send this. I'm sure some of us have seen this in the past. Are we able to read that?
Oh.
Are you able to read domino 1? Okay. I'm going to the moderator is going to send it to us. What you see here is a strategic design for making this happen in a matter of weeks. Here is election. Here is the union of death on one side. Here is the constitution in the middle. Here is election, and then you see the lever to the corner there. You see Lower Niger, the Yoruba, and the Middle Belt. That's the alliance. If having repudiated the constitution, you saw the long route we took to repudiating the constitution. If having repudiated that constitution that creates the union of master and servant, we now say we don't want to renew the life of that constitution. I was saying that all our miseries. This is the outcome. Can you see something has changed here?
Yes.
If we press that lever in rejection of election on account of the constitution we have repudiated, our reason for not going to election is that we have rejected the constitution by which the winner will govern, by which the winner must govern. So we've made the case for why that constitution cannot be. All our miseries flow from the constitution. It is by election that the life of the constitution is renewed every 4 years. Only political parties, and this is the catch, only political parties contest elections. All the political parties subscribe to that constitution, and the winner of any election will swear to defend and uphold that constitution. I go through it again. All our miseries flow from that constitution. The life of that constitution is renewed only by elections every 4 years. Political parties are the only ones who contest elections. All the political parties subscribe to that constitution. So you can't say if PDP comes, it might be better. Or if Abga wins, it will be good. No. Finally, whoever wins amongst them must swear to and govern by that constitution. When you take that 5 together, you come to one inescapable conclusion that if you want to liberate yourself from the miseries offered by that constitution, then you have to break the life cycle of it. Since elections are the way, is the only way to renew the life of the constitution. We targeted this thing you saw here, this action plan had been prepared since 2003. But our people were not listening to us. So we had to wait. 2007, they said Jonathan had become vice president. So they just said, please, hold on. Let us see whether we can work with him. But 2009 came, Yar'Adua collapsed. They say he is now president. So we descended on Jonathan to say, look, if you don't do it now, we are going to fight in the mud with you now. So we compelled him. That was how the 2014 National Conference came. We banged tables in the villa. The Job brothers said they are going to do away with him and blame it on other people. He was like, under gunpoint, let us go and solve this problem now. So he voiced after listening. He took time to listen the way you are listening now. He saw that there was no other way to solve the problem. So he called the meeting. What happened at the meeting? It was on the floor of the conference that the delegates, the first decision they took on the floor of that conference was that they will not visit the foundation. It wasn't his instruction. I was the one who wrote I was directly involved in what became the conference. The mandate of Femi Okoromu's committee. Some of you have access, some of you can call Femi Okoromu, find out from him what Jonathan mandated his committee to do. They said, let us go to the foundation. They actually named 1914 in the discussion. It was the conference itself that decided that they will not go to the foundation. That was their first decision on the floor of the conference. So Jonathan was put in a difficult position, either to call off the conference or to let them wobble on wherever they end. The election of 2015 wouldn't have happened at all. We already committed him to, he will not contest whatever be the outcome, so that the outcome from the conference can become basis of another election that will not involve him. It was because they refused to address the reason for the conference. Is it the quarrel between lawyers and doctors that led to problem in Nigeria? Is it not the quarrel of coexistence between Yoruba and Fulani that became basis of calling conference? They said no. They say it's a no-go area. They decided it on the floor of the conference. And so that initiative failed. Right now, we then targeted a round of election that will be far away from the time the iron is hot on stopping the journey. What we are doing now, you can't do in 2022. It will be too close. Money will be flying. But now, no money is flying. We have the field to ourselves. We have delegitimized the constitution itself. That is, we have taken the oxygen out of, because the constitution has been on life support since the December 16th. For us to pull out that life support is to now mobilize this populace to say, if you want to be free of this union, You now have to play a part in stopping your kinsmen from taking you to another election. Are you saying that these few politicians are going to be, you saw them in Ibadan. Did we not see them on the streets in Ibadan? Was the police enough to push them back? You saw them in Osogbo. You've seen them in Akure today. You think it's going to be just 2, 3 people, this number in the coming days, because this information is going down to the grassroots. It's happening in the East, it's happening in the Middle Belt. They may not be on the street in the other places because you can see there's military operation, heavy military operation going on in the East because of Nnadi Kanu's, gambit. In the Middle Belt, they are working at their chart of relationship. What Autumn is doing in the Middle Belt, what Autumn is doing, you don't know the depth of it. The chief of staff of Autumn was in the room on the day in July 2019, 16th of July, the day I was addressing the State Department on the question of what should the US do. So the Benue governor has more information than most of the governors of Nigeria. You saw the southern governors going to a meeting in Asaba. They're just waking up. Autumn is deeper in the matter than all of them in terms of what the international community knows about what's happening and what we are doing about how to escape from it. The politicians, the political parties, if we go to election in 2023, not more than 1,500 people will emerge. One president, 36 governors, maybe senators 109, House members 360, all the state assemblies on the average of 25 per house, you come down to a figure that is closer to 1,500 than anything else. Is it because of this 1,500 people that 200 million people are going to, let us even say 150 million people of the alliance? Is it because of the few that want to go and be governor and be president? We will sacrifice them if they want to be sacrificed. We are not quarreling with those in government house right now. They have 4 years, but we said to them, you can remain in transitional capacity. You saw what happened in South Africa with apartheid. Was it not because of this same kind of thing that they introduced CODESA to work out the balance of what will replace what? So if having endured these atrocities for this length of time, we come to this juncture where we can actually stop the journey to election and solve this problem. We are not yet asking them to leave government house. They can have the balance of their 4 years, provided only if they accept, like the European Union and the US has advised them, to go to dialogue with the owners of the land right now, to put guns aside. I tell you, if anybody pulls a gun in this debate, he will find a totally different battlefield from what it used to be. Mm-hmm. And if anybody is telling me that those renegades that want to go and be president or governor will be stronger than that populace, we're going to unleash this populace that is angry to the point of no return. We're the ones restraining them. NSAS, the reason they pulled back is not because they were beaten down. We told them, hold on, let us frame the debate differently. By the time they come back, and what you see happening in Osogbo and Akure, a day will come when all of Yoruba, all these capitals will have people on the street. Then let those people who say they want, you saw the INEC pulling forward the dates for election of 2023. The grandchildren, the great-grandchildren of Uthman Danfodio have announced the date of the election, forcing the political parties to start the process because we are ahead of them. We said to them, we will not allow our own people to go to election under this constitution because the winner is going to govern by that. The winner will swear to and govern by that constitution. You saw that the caliphate was saying they will govern Nigeria for all time. How come suddenly, after the proclamation, they saw that they have lost the game? They now threw power to the south. Say, it must go to south now. They want to pitch the Yoruba against the Igbo. Tinubu, you saw it was in Kano. They launched his campaign. Tinubu, go and get ready. Then they said, it's Igbo turn. You saw the George Obiozo that called a meeting of Igbo that they want to get the Igbo and the Yoruba to begin to fight over who will be president. At a time we have already defeated the constitution that torments us. Those people who are standing up to go to buy form to be president or senator or governor in 2023, anybody who has sworn to defend and uphold this constitution since 2003, we live 1999. They didn't see the document. Let's accept. But from 2003, anybody who has sworn to defend and uphold this constitution is already guilty of any kind of punishment that the populace will want to give to them. Because they know. We started shouting 3 weeks into the life of this constitution in 1999. The politicians know, but it is because of what they get for themselves that the governors will get 5 billion every month. The senators will get 50 million for themselves every month. They don't care that the rest of the people will perish. That's all that is an issue. The lawyers in the land who ought to be at the forefront of dealing with these matters are busy chasing after EFCC, election petition and EFCC cases. We challenge the NBA at the level of leadership for administrations. Can you, from Olisa Bakoba, all these Falana, all of them talking trash all over the place. We told them that if we had a medical emergency, doctors and pharmacists will be leading the charge. Now we have apartheid constitution in our hand, an emergency that is worse than medical emergency, the lives of millions of people ruined and in danger of death. The lawyers who should stand in front, if there was no lawyer called Nelson Mandela in South Africa, and the other lawyer called Oliver Tambo, what do you think would have happened? The other people thought it was white men. Anyway, you see them, stone them. And you stone them, they shoot you. You stone them. They were doing that until these two lawyers emerged. Where are the lawyers in Nigeria? I told them, I had cause to tell them at a meeting, and a big meeting of the most senior of all of them. I said, the day Nigeria will snap, all of you who are holding the ladder for this enemy will be, before anybody else is dealt with, we will make sure that none of you, except you're already outside the country. That is the lawyers in the land. The men of God in the land, you see, if there was no Tutu, no Desmond Tutu in South Africa, tell me what would have happened. Where are our own men of God? They are competing in private jets and private universities. Again, we approach them. We have spoken to them in this manner we are speaking now. Over the years, they bluntly refuse. They are more interested in how they get the next private jet, boasting that they have 3 in a country where most people can't feed, in a country where most children are not in school because their parents cannot pay, in a country where we have become the poverty capital of the world on account of this constitution. And we showed them this is the apartheid constitution responsible for this misery. They are not interested. We go to the, what do they call them? The civil society people. I'm just informing you, sir, that the forces that will come together to stop these few people who want to go to get benefit for themselves, we have satisfied ourselves in terms of going to talk to them. There's no one of them that needed to be spoken to that has not been spoken to. Tinubu emerged governor of Lagos from Nnadi. Is that not the case? The people that did Nnadi were the ones that organized Pronaco. He's been just 5 minutes away from where all these things are happening in Lagos. He lives less than 5 minutes away from where these actions are happening. So there's no part of it he doesn't know. His chief of staff, Fashola, is now in Abuja, minister. His attorney general, Oshibajo, now in Abuja, vice president. There's no one of them that has not been engaged in this matter sufficiently. So if they think they become stronger than all of us, as it is for them, so it is with the ones in the east, with the ones in the middle belt. We have discussed adequately with them. That mob, that crowd of angry people, of dying people, that number in millions. I'm sure all of you have been listening to Igboho. I'm sure you listened to Igboho.
Yes.
I'm sure you saw the day in Ibadan,
yes,
in March, that Igboho came to join us halfway. We are the ones asking everybody to take it easy until it comes to where the enforcement. We are still at enlightenment. We are still in sensitization. We'll go to mobilization. Yoruba is already getting to mobilization. Mobilization will give way to enforcement. On the day of enforcement, Tony Nnadi will not be there to moderate the behavior of that crowd. Let's go to the next thing.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Comrade Brother Gujobi. Yes, sir.
So
Thank
sorry,
you so much,
sorry.
Dr.
Dr.
Sir.
Adeyeye, Dr. Adeyeye.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Comrade Ogunjobi will be the last question. Tony Nnadi has been speaking for 2 hours. I remember at the start of the questions, we said 3 questions. So Comrade Bode will be our third and final question on constitutional force majeure to Mr. Tony Nnadi. And then we'll now move on to Ilano business in the diaspora. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please, if you have question and you feel like this is very, very important, please send it through and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much. Yes, I comrade.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dr. Tony. My question has partly been answered by the previous question, but then I'm going to go ahead and ask again so you can just round it up. Well, my question would be, what should we do and what shouldn't we do to make everything work out fine, you know, to make it go smoothly, especially with you guys handling the diplomatic part? I mean, I'm not talking about you, the experts. I'm talking about we in the NINAS, the general public. What should we do to support you guys? What shouldn't we do that will make it hard for you guys? So
right.
That's the question.
Thank you. Thank you. Your question, very clearly understood. What to do is the information you have now. There's a website, NINA's website, www.ninasffn.org. ninasffn.org, where all the information, all the documents, all the videos, all the processes, step by step, are there. The first task is to disseminate this information so that people can understand that the strategy for getting at the freedom that you desire is in the joint action with the rest of the country that also want freedom. You understand? So it is a joint project at that level. The moment the gate of the prison is crashed by our collective action, Odua will walk into their freedom. They will come out of the gate, turn right into Odua Republic. The other people can turn left into their own republic. Middle Belt will walk up into their own republic. We can then go to another meeting of how our people can relate. You can see there's no quarrel or fight. There's no Yoruba person I know killing people in Port Harcourt. There's no Ijaw person I know beheading people in Ibadan. Nor is there any Igbo person I know beating up people in Abuja or in Middle Belt. You understand? We all hold human life sacrosanct. We believe that all men are born equal. We believe there's equal opportunities. Unlike the feudalists, unlike the Shariarists, we aspire to excellence. We promote innovation in all these three. So there's no reason why, like Germany and France and Portugal are relating. There's no reason why, if I'm documented as coming from Port Harcourt, I can't live in Lagos. Or you are Yoruba, you can't live in Abuja. Because there's an alliance. Everybody will continue to just do a different documentation and define our relationship to exclude this strange civilization that owe it a duty to kill all of us, that owe it a duty to make us slaves. Because as feudalists, there's only master and servant. As adherents of Sharia, they owe it a duty of faith to eliminate the rest of us, and they're on it. So what to do is to become a part of how this information can be broken down and disseminated. Internet is there. If we face that task, I tell you, it will take 1 month to get to even the most rural of places. I travel quite a bit around the land. I can tell you what's going on in Ikare, Ekiti, and Omooba, because the information is coming down. People in diaspora, the same way you send money to people at home, they look up to you. You are in a position to interrogate this. They don't have data. You've listened to it now. You know what it is. You can tell them in your own language, this is where to go. Political party people, Don't, if you see them in your community, chase them away. They are the demons. They are the ones holding the ladder for the devil. You understand? That can come from you. For what to do? For what not to do? For what not to do? I tell you, the biggest single impediment to this liberation is what Nnadi Kanu and his Biafra commotion is doing. You know why? Everything we need to succeed. The alliance, the LNC took 6 years going to knowing what happened in Biafra, both at home and abroad. We took 6 years to first go to talk to our neighbors in that lower Niger. We went to the Obo Benin, the radio, the one that was secretary to Gowon's cabinet office. I went with them to Aburi to take the minutes of the federal, on the federal government side. He's late now. Enohoro leading. We went to say to him, this is what we propose. It took about 6 months of interrogation before they say, if that is the case, Nigeria is not working for anybody. Benin guys were the most notorious in Italy for the kind of business they go to do there. And so we said, look, we can get Nigeria of Mata and Savannah out of the way so that Benin Kingdom can resume their right to reconstruct their society. They agreed with us, and he gave us 2 people, Isekure and his younger brother, to go with us to the Olu Warri to tell you the depth of consultation that led to what in 2009 was when we completed that through the Ijaw territories. We went to each of the places. We first went to the traditional institution. They called in their leaders of thought. They interrogated our proposition, and they took a decision and came back to us and went with us to the next community. That was why it took 6 years, all the way to Calabar. It was when we had done all of that we came to Warri in 2009. If you Google Lower Niger Congress now, and you scroll all the way down to the first document, you know how Google arranges it by date. The oldest document you are going to see will be the inaugural proclamation of the Lower Niger Congress in Warri. It was a 1-week ceremony. Asari Dokubo was one of the 22 signatories from the Ijaw side. So that we can do it together kind of decision. And we've also gone further to a solemn assembly in Port Harcourt. If you go to YouTube now, type solemn assembly of the peoples of the Lower Niger, you will see real life people you know from all that parts gathered under one roof. Ijaw as Ijaw, Ogoni as Ogoni, Igbo as Igbo, telling the global community that in the way Nigeria has gone, we now have decided to work together as a federation of this number of language groups, and that will be seeking, a UN supervised referendum for our exit for whatever we're going to do with the rest of Nigeria and the rest of the world. And so, in that kind of a situation, when this Biafra, the people that say, "Oh, we want to restore Biafra," we call them in to say, "Hold it. What is it you want? Is it the name to be called or the independence? Is it liberation you want or the name to be called? Because if it's independence, here's the plan, here's the territory, here's the discussion that has happened amongst the owners of the territory. The moment you call it Biafra, you ruin all the opportunities of advancing in that discussion, because Ijaw will walk away, Ogoni will walk away, and if you go to this map and see the details, you discover that the southeast of today is just a small circle. It's not even 1/4. The southeast of today is not 1/4 of the territory that will be Biafra. Put yourself in the shoe of the Ijaw. That somebody sits, an Igbo man, sits in one small corner of London, saying that he is the supreme leader restoring Biafra, that includes that, because the moment you use that word Biafra, it includes their land. You understand? They are ready to lay down their life to stop you. I'm sure most of you had Pedro Batseki from Benin talking very bitterly. You had Asari talking bitterly. You saw Orobo people talking bitterly. You saw Ogoni people swearing. Everybody. And this is something that took us many years to to put in place as what we need. I've gone to the UN to answer this question: where is the map of the territory? When we brought out the map of 1885 that shows Ijaw as Ijawland, Ogoni as Ogoniland, and all the other ones, the UN diplomats say that this is the first time they see something that can resolve the question of Biafra. Have you talked with them? That was the next question. Are they in agreement with you now? I punched my iPad and showed them that solemn assembly. The people they saw in the place, the leaders of the agitations in Ijoland, in Ogoniland, they saw them sitting down with Igbo under one roof to say that as an aggregation of nationalities with a map, because Ijo is qualified as Ijo on Ijoland. Ogoni is qualified as Ogoni on Ogoniland. Right. Kalabari qualifies as Kalabari on Kalabari land. Each of them qualified. It is that sort of relationship that brings us together so that we can come to say to the UN, we are fed up with Nigeria. The referendum will be anchored on the individual rights of each of these nationalities. If you say it's Biafra you are looking for, you already lock yourself out of that. Nobody will have a meeting with you. I can assure you. And if anybody can come with a contrary evidence, I'm prepared to come to answer to it, to show you why it is a lie. There's no single diplomat that has ever been in any meeting with any of these people, and they are destroying the fabrics of the alliance we need to succeed in this matter. The same way they destroyed the ones in the lower Niger, that's how they destroyed what we were doing in Yoruba land. Yoruba didn't just jump out of for lack of what to do with themselves. It was because we went from Akure to Shogbo to Bomosho to Ibadan. Anybody that is leader of thought in Yoruba land, those of you who have access to Ayo Adebanjo, call and ask him what he knows about this and whether this matter has not been discussed in his past midnight several times. Everybody you can reach that is leader of thought in Yoruba land, we went to them in their country homes over these years, explaining, answering questions, explaining the ones overseas. We traced the ones we could trace. The same thing in the Middle Belt. So as we were doing all of this, these people were mocking and saying, give us Biafra, give us Biafra. In that give us Biafra, they rejected the mechanisms that will lead to the... He said, I asked him, you remember I'm answering one question. What are we not to do? We're asking our people to stay away from that Biafra campaign. Everything you see is hanging in the atmosphere. Even the foreigners, the world powers, particularly the US, before they opened up their national security architecture to us because of ISIS in the case we brought, they actually told me that they had verified that we had nothing to do with that scam because it's all a scam. Our people have been brought to believe that freedom means Biafra. You understand? And so they are just sucking their blood, exposing them to death. His strategy is if enough people are killed, international community will jump in and hand over the place to him to govern. Who is that international community that will come? When you don't have a map of the territory, you don't have a charter that binds you with the people in the Biafra you are mouthing. So it becomes the biggest impediment. Is there any soldier killing people in Yoruba land today with all of what they are saying in rejection of Nigeria? Nobody is killing them. Nobody is detaining them. Why? Because they are undertaking their liberation in a process that you cannot challenge. But what do we have in the East? People are being killed in such numbers that will baffle you if you get to know. Every day. Why? Because somebody is playing pranks, pretending he's doing what he's not doing, that is going to kill off soldiers. Is that the way to get to the independence when you have not discussed with your neighbors? So please, I'm going to plead with our Yoruba brothers. Nnamdi Kanu is a clear-minded criminal who came to make profit from the misery of our people. We have done everything under the sun. I was part of the team. I was at the center of the collapse of his treason trial in Abuja. I didn't talk to him when he got into trouble. We had our meeting in 2013. He rejected every single thing in this plan. He rejected, I asked him, where's the map of the Biafra you want? He had no map. He said everybody in the world knows where Biafra is. That was his answer. What discussion have you had with the Ijo and the Ogoni and all the other people? He said, no, those people don't understand what we are discussing, that they will come along when we begin to do Biafra. The Constitution of Nigeria is the reason why the army and air force and everybody surrounding you with guns. what is your strategy for taking down that constitution? He said, oh, you people are still talking about constitution of Nigeria. It's Biafra we are doing. These are his answers to me, 2013. Okay. The other time, all of us got angry and we said we are leaving. The Fulani assembled the rest of Nigeria to beat us down, surrounded us 360 degrees, killing 3.5 million people. Today, that 3 million barrels are still what Nigeria said every day. If you say you are angry, you are going seceded, and that Fulani that is still in charge managed to find the renegades to assemble to come and beat you up, have you gone to talk to Yoruba? Have you gone to talk to Middle Belt? He said, oh no, Yoruba is so unreliable. They will disappoint you 10 times if you try 10 times. There's no point going to talk to them. Middle Belt, oh, it is Danjuma and Gowon that killed us. As if we do not. Ojuku was on my drawing board. Achebe was on my drawing board. Ibituke, where you saw on the list, still on my drawing board. Sissiono on that drawing board. Did you get to, what do you know about the matter than all of these people who manage it? And if they see a plan that can work now, and you are the one telling us that Yoruba is unreliable, and Middle Belt is the one that killed you, he rejected even this matter of referendum that is now presenting himself as the champion of. He rejected. I said, by what mechanism will you land this commotion that is boiling up? He said, conquer and occupy. Because the one we are doing is going to go to referendum. He said, oh no, Nigeria will rig referendum. I said, the referendum we're talking about is a UN mandated. I gave him all the documents that we had, the documents that show step by step how it looked like a very long journey to him at that time. That, oh no, let them just, that I said, what is your grand strategy? He said that when as he's broadcasting, people are going to get infuriated, that when Nigeria kills a certain number, then UN will come. I said, have you ever been to the UN? Because I'm the one, we have office there. We've been there since 2012. If I have business in the UN, Amina Mohammed does not get to know how we come and go because she's not in the loop of the people we have to deal with on the matter that go to Security Council. And so this is the kind of thing, destroying the alliances we need at home, destroying the alliances we need with our neighbors. Take this alliance away and tell me how we will have come to tackling this constitution to end this union. If you do not know that that constitution is 75% of the problem, and they were making mockery of, they say Mr. Map, that's what they call me, Mr. Map, and then Mr. Constitution. Everything about self-determination begins with map, because you have to show the territory you want independence. The next thing is the constitution, as you agree amongst yourself in that map. They don't have any of these two. They don't have any discussion they've had with anybody. They don't have any strategy that can ever become independent. They are making Photoshop. Everything you see is Photoshop. Everything you see is a lie. Our people in Aban on nature were actually thinking that he was discussing with Trump and Putin like they were seeing on the internet. And they went and bet their chest to be killed. If we tell you the number of people they've killed, you'll be sorry for our people. On that Python dance, to give you a particular example, these are things you can verify. On that Python dance that happened in 2017, where they said they killed 28 people in the compound, Nnamdi Kanu did not sleep in that house that day. I'm reporting to you as somebody who knew where he was at that hour. He left that place. The people guarding him thought he was in there. All the stories you heard about how his men evacuated him, he had been out of that place for a whole day. He said his people guarding him didn't know. His parents were nowhere to be found. And the people guarding thinking everybody was in until they were slaughtered. He didn't stop there. He's second in command in London to tell you the kind of blood festival they've been organizing. The one in London they call Uchemefo was busy announcing, let those who know Uchemefo call him on the phone and ask him whether these things are so or not so. Uchemefo knew that Nnamdi Kanu was not anywhere around Omooba on the day of that invasion. He knew that he had left. He was announcing on their radio to our people at home to go and defend their leader. These men closed their shops in Aba, Onitsha, Calabar, everywhere. Chartered buses going to defend their Oga in Omooba. The instruction of the soldiers was to commandeer their buses and get rid of them. They killed over 300 that day. There were more than 300 people, apart from the 28 in the compound. And the people making the announcement for people to go and defend their master knew that Nnamdi had left the place the day before. And If you go to the MNA killings, the one that happened in MNA, you chose the triangle. The 82 division in Enugu is here. The Air Force base is there. The other police facility is there. The secondary school where they were going to train Biafra people in MNA was at the center of that triangle. Just the strategy is to expose more people to death so that the world can see blood and then come and rescue him. If they rescue you, what will happen to Ijo and their campaign? What will happen to Yoruba and their campaign? What will happen to Middlebelt that is being killed? What have you discussed with the international community? He said no, that when they take charge, the international community will come and meet them because they've already shared out the offices. He will be the supreme leader, the ones who will be the central bank governor, and they've shared out all the offices for what? For a land that you have not recovered. You are in Egypt, you are sharing promised land. Who did the fight with the giants? That's the kind of thing that has happened. And they have reduced us to a joke. They present us as dishonest people before the whole world and as crazy people. The case we have made in Washington about being a totally different civilization, all of us, from the Fulani that go about slaughtering people. Can we sustain that claim now within Nnadi that is making video of how he's killing policemen and soldiers? And if they now launch this kind of operation they've launched in Eastern Nigeria, how am I supposed to be on the same side of that debate with him? You understand? Anybody who is going to say, nobody supports the kind of killing going on in the East today. But anybody who will approach the matter will have to accept that you cannot be making video of how you kill. And it's not a matter of video. They actually killed. They are killing. Say unknown gunmen. Where would that lead? Because Fulani has become an unknown gunman in the East now. 3/4 of what you see, they saw unknown gunmen is Fulani now, exterminating our people, bringing their own people under the Igbo land is today occupied with blood flowing massively because Nnadi Kanu had to play prank in one corner, presenting himself everywhere he says he's gone. He's not been to Congress, he's not been to executive branch, he's not been to UN, and he's just an embarrassment to us, destroying what took so long to put together. So I'm just making this, I had to point this out because when he said, oh, there are people on one side and Biafra people on the other side, there's no such thing that Biafra is talking about is not the project of the people of the East at this time. We want independence. We want liberation from Nigeria. But if you call it Biafra, you render the journey unworkable. So we've called it what we can call it. It has scaled the test of scrutiny everywhere, at home and abroad, and it's working. The only setback we have is this madness that has been introduced. It's just like pouring water from the gutter into drinking water. So let everybody bear it in mind that Nnadi Kanu and his Biafra campaign, they are not at all involved in what Ninas is doing. Under no circumstances would the LNC accept them near what we are doing because they are clear-minded in the criminality they are pursuing because of the money our people are raising for them and all the kind of fame they want to enjoy. We are not after all of that. We have a plan that can deliver liberation to our people. We are not going to mess up that. The day Washington gets to know that Nnadi Kanu is involved with us, they will cut off from us. The day Ijo hears that is near what we are doing, they will pull back from whatever we agree with them. That's how bad it is. So let those who are part of this be clear in their mind that these people, everything I say here, everything I've said tonight, I'm sure this is being recorded, everything I said this night, if anybody can find anything to the contrary, if anybody can show that Nnadi Kanu had ever met with any official of any government of the US or the UN or the EU, I will want to see that proof. I can report to you, it did not happen. Those who watch the broadcast of Simon Ekpa, because Simon Ekpa is the one that generates the photoshopping business. We're talking about the lives of millions of people here. We're talking about a project that can fail. We're talking about a project that can fail. We can be overseas and be away from that danger. But if you put yourself in the shoes of those who are trapped in Owerri today, they don't have any gun to face the army. What are they doing? 3-4 boys will just wait. You are driving on your own. They will jump on you, pull you out of the vehicle, take your vehicle to the next police roadblock, ram into the police. When they drive all around, they will knock down 2 or 3. They always have one gun they stole the day before. shoot at the ones who are not yet there. They will run away. They will pick up 3-4 guns. That's the guns they are going to use to defeat Nigeria that has 10 battalions upon them. So these boys, with the technology available today, at night they will come and they are watching them like rats, and they're picking them up and killing them. But that is what brings his money for him. That is what brings his money for him. So our people overseas are actually contributing money, thinking he's fighting anybody. Is that the kind of fight that will lead you? Where will it end? So anybody who is involved on this path that will end in referendum in the manner that settles everybody's case should please have, if any group is involved with him, we already said it a whole number of times, any group that is involved with him, the LNC and NINAS will do away with that group because it is to endanger the project in its entirety. I'm not looking for anything. I left the oil industry in 1998 from a senior executive position in the upstream. I'm not looking for anything for myself. I have license to practice law in at least 56 countries. And I'm not talking about the law of, come and sell land and buy the next shop. No, I'm talking about the kind of thing that involves millions of dollars. If I were to leave what I'm doing to go to do them now. So what we are doing is not a casual thing that people should be playing these kind of games with. People's lives and future are involved. And we've sent this message to our people all over the world that if they don't shut down completely that scam, the force that shut down the Fulani and broke the backbone of the Fulani, I'm in Nigeria, you can see. The force that broke back the backbone of the Fulani is more than capable of shutting them down, even if force had to be applied. I've said it on foreign media, I've said it on BBC. Anybody who is getting involved with them is doing the greatest disservice to this joint campaign. All the other people that want liberation in Nigeria are together in this one plan. He's the only one standing outside and making internet broadcasts and causing deaths in massive numbers and ruining our case before the global community. That's the only thing I can say, let's not do.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. According to our head, Mrs. Olasalako said we shouldn't entertain more questions because actually Nnadi has been speaking all this while, and we need to let him rest. Know fully well that it is not only us he's attending to. So please, Mrs. Ojo and the iPhone, sorry that we won't be able to take more questions. Sorry for this, please. But you can send us your questions, then I'll pass it to Mrs. Salako, and you can forward the questions to our guest, then we can get back to you.
I'll send the question to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I can see the questions will be sent to him through Mrs. Salako, and we get back to you, ma'am.
All right, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Once again, everyone, let's please clap for our guest. Thank you so much for the knowledge. Thank you for the effort. Thank you for opening our eyes more. Thank you so much. Thanks. Mrs. Salako, over to you, ma. Do you have anything, whatever you have to say before we go to the other business? That is Ilano business.
I just wanted to say that thank you very much, Mr. Nnadi, Tony Nnadi. So grateful. So many things that you have made clear. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has learned even more today. Thank you very much for coming, for giving up. In fact, you've been speaking for about 2.5 hours.
It happens all the time.
So thank you. We may call you to come and speak to us again, but in the meantime, we're very grateful that you've taken the time this evening. Very, very grateful. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of Ilano in the diaspora to express our sincere gratitude. So Yes, thank you. If you wish to leave, unless you want to stay, you are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting.
No, let Ilano deal with, there's so much to deal with. All kinds of people setting up parallel structures here and there. All of them come to say, oh, we are the ones to work with you. And I say, please, why don't you go and understand the framework? Ilano has done that. If you are not prepared to understand the framework, you're going to ruin what we are doing. They are not listening. So you have work to do. You better plan what to do with them. But the ones who work with the framework are the ones who will eventually attract other people, because it's like a vehicle going to a destination. It's when your vehicle is moving, there's no other vehicle going there. The people will join you. Don't mind their numbers or their loud noise. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We'll see you some other time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you. May I please say this to us, Ilano people? May I please say this to us that please stay back. Please don't go. There is still another section of this meeting,
Thank you, Mr.
Which is very, very important. Please stay back. Let's discuss this. Let's please discuss this aspect too. Thank you. Please stay back, don't go. And the first point we'll be discussing here is about registration. Before I go further, I'm asked to announce this to us, that the reference section in the form has been removed. Don't forget, last time this was discussed at length, and having looked into it, the authority said, okay, it can be removed. So if you want to fill the membership form now, there's no point looking for reference again. This section has been taken care of. Thank you. And secondly, I'm asked to quickly unveil this to us all so that we can know who to work with in these departments or sections of our agitation. The first is the fundraising and mobilization. And 2 people will be heading this according to the decision of our boss, Mrs. Olasolako, and Omooba Adejoke and Mrs. Shola Williams will be in charge of fundraising and mobilization. I don't know if they are here. Maybe people might want to know them. If you are here, please. Miss Omooba Adejoke, I think she's here, but she's busy streaming. And Miss Shola Williams, I've been saying hi here since. Are you around? Are you still around here? Okay, Miss Shola Williams, please unmute yourself. Can you please show yourself, your video, let people see you?
Oh my goodness, I'm having a bad hair day. If you just give me 2 minutes.
Okay, she will be back. And secondly, in terms of registration, Omooba Adejoke and Mrs. Shola Williams are in charge of registration as well. Mrs. Shola Williams and Omooba Adejoke are in charge of registration. Omooba Adejoke is busy now. Don't forget, she holds a very important assignment in the media department as well, working with Comrade Marcos, the Jinle TV. Yeah. So please, let us all please take note of this. And in terms of the welfare, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that the reason to explain that Mrs. Shola Williams and Omooba Adejoke, they've been working quietly and very hard in the background. So it's a case of, it's actually to recognize the work they've been doing. Because we've had a flood of people wanting to join. And in the secretariat, it's Mr. Shola Williams has been working very hard. So it's simply a recognition of the work they've been doing behind the scene to around fundraising and mobilization. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I was just about to say it after talking about the welfare, but I'm happy you say it now. Thank you, ma. Okay, Mrs. Sarah Williams.
Now, sir,
okay, yeah, Mrs. Sarah Williams now showed face. Okay, so you can all see her. Please, you can feel free to contact her. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sarah Williams. And in terms of welfare, Madam Mujirola will be in charge. Like Mrs. Alako rightly said, all those people called on this have been working underground, putting their energies into all this. And if somebody has been doing something, what's the essence of dropping the person while we need somebody to be on board? Thank you so much. Yes, oh, you are here. I don't know you are here, sir. Yes, sir, you're welcome. Yes.
Please, I think it's proper if Mrs. Shola Williams, Omooba Joke, and Madam Mujirola, if they are here, they should at least say 1 or 2, like 30 minutes to greet us so that people can know them. You know, this is
30 minutes or 30 seconds. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Omooba Joke, I think let's start from Mrs. Shola Williams. Mrs. Shola Williams, you have to please again. Yeah, please. This assignment has been ahead of you. Registration, fundraising, and mobilization. Please, can you talk to us?
I was born and bred in Lagos. So I only joined a few months ago, so I'm learning the ropes, and even though I've been trying to learn a lot about the movement quite a while since last year. So I'm very much
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, ma. Yes, Madam Salako, you want to say something?
I don't think Madam Majeure is here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I don't think. Yeah, okay, but okay. I mean, I don't know about Omooba Joke.
Omooba is here. Omooba, please unmute yourself. Yeah. Show your face.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Salute Dr. Tony too. Well done. I've been just applauding you and, showing love and like on the Facebook and other platforms. And I just want to tell everyone that in this struggle, we really need each other. We need one another, especially in terms of our unity financially, unity towards the awareness. Go platform Tawasha, every one of us. And Motufe Mafi Akoko Ikede fun wa pe Amama reach out adupe fun program teni rally tí wọ́n ṣe ní Ondo State tí àwọn ìlànà tí wọ́n dẹ̀ gbé kalẹ̀ adupe gidigidi gan ni. And rally yẹn ó tún tẹ̀síwájú a dẹ̀ nílò owó. Bàbá wa ti fún wa ní central account that we're going to be using láti bí bóyá few weeks back. So ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ìlànà central post a máa ní láti donate owó síbẹ̀ fún gbogbo iṣẹ́ tá fẹ́ ṣe. Please, we are begging on every one of us láti donate and our widow's mind towards liberating our nation. Ẹ ṣé gan, a dúpẹ́ o. Thank you, Dr. Tony, once again. Thank you, Dr. Adeyeye. Thank you, Madam Shola, for the opportunity. God bless you.
Ẹ ṣé o. Ẹ ṣé, thank you. Àtẹ̀wọ́ fún ẹ̀yin méjèèjì o. Yes.
Can you just want me to speak in something?
Okay, now yeah. Ẹ ṣé òfèsì. Ẹ jẹ́ ká máa rẹ̀ tán bá sọ̀rọ̀. Ìgbà ìgbà tí wọ́n show face lọ́wọ́ ẹjọ́ fẹsẹ̀ sọ pé at this junction a lè máa sọ Yorùbá àlejò wa ti lọ tí wọn ò gbọ́ nígbà tí èdè tó dáa jù ní gbogbo àgbáyé ṣùgbọ́n ní ìsìn àwọn táwa ń bí ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ Yorùbá yes ma ó ti yá yín mà.
ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú sá àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n ń béèrè fún account tí a máa sanwó sí a máa text ẹ̀ sí orí bíbá yìí then a máa share sí gbogbo àwọn platform wa àwọn coordinators wa náà for each country wọ́n máa bá wa share because a ní ìdówó gan ní àsìkò tá a wà ẹ ṣe.
ok ọ̀dà ẹ ṣe mà yes ma ó yá à ń gbọ́ yín mà.
Please ẹ má bínú my low line. I just say that I did some donation today, which I opened it as direct debit. But for ìlànà Oòduà for what they call it for security. I don't know whether you know about it.
Well, thank you. In terms of the donation,
the right one.
Comrade Jumbo Adewi is not here, but we'll ask him quickly and get back to you.
Can I explain? Can I come in there?
Sure, Wambisa, okay, yeah, okay. Second one, yes. Oh, yes, sir.
I think what Mommy is talking about is a very important information. Okay. What we have is a central account, and we don't have any separate account for security. Please, we must be very, very careful so that we are not swindled of our earned money. There is a central account. So from that central account, we have different projects. Security is part of it. Welfare is part of it. In fact, I think the Dr. Adeyeye should even talk about the security.
No, I'm still coming there, sir.
Exactly. So, madam, your country will let in sorrow, sir.
I'm speaking from London. I'm based in London.
Drop contacting so that when you want UK are contacting.
Okay. Is should I call it or
Auntie?
I can drop it directly. Sorry, Madam Salako. Please drop the number directly to Madam Salako.
Salako know my number, but
okay, that's good.
That's great.
Oh, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get that to you.
That's good. Eshe, thank you. Mo rí pé Mr. Alayode àti K-Money wọ́n náwó. Ṣé ẹ fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ilé ìka tó máa lọ sí next item?
The central account number, please. Central account number.
Central account number. Ẹjọ́ post ẹ̀ sí. Wọ́n máa post ẹ̀ ẹ ṣé. Thank you. Mr. Desmond Alayode sir.
Ẹ ṣe ìgbọ́nlẹ̀ kan sí sá.
Yes.
Lórí central account yẹn àti lórí nǹkan tí mọ́mí tó sọ̀rọ̀ tán sí ẹ̀sùn rẹ̀ lórí account yẹn. Torí tí ẹ̀ bá ń wo media ìfẹ́ tó wá sí bí abí heritage ṣe unpromoted program kan ṣe àwọn náà dem build up wọ́n pè ní bí abí ọlọ́pọ̀dà ọ̀dẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí kíní ni security wọn náà bí ṣe ọlọ́pọ̀dà ni so ó wà genuine because mo bá Mr. Ade sọ̀rọ̀ lórí heritage ó wà genuine however kì í ṣe program ìlànà but àwọn náà wà genuine so ó wà lára I'm a member of this I'm a member of this nǹkan tẹ̀mí dẹ̀ máa ń sọ ni pé ká máa bá ẹgbẹ̀rún abára sọ̀rọ̀ so ká máa cause confusion down the line down to the people so that people might become we are doing one project in multiple directions to get point here so all important go pay ká máa bá sọ̀rọ̀ látòkè then again only attention kan tí mo fẹ́ bring up fún leaders wa Dr. Benga Mama Shalasarako maybe you have to talk with Professor Banji Acho and try to call this man into order. It's heading Yoruba consular services. To challenge you. They are creating confusion relative to it in Mr. Tony Nnadi Soleni. Challenge you. Why are you recreating the consular service, embassy for you, in London kind of a thing? More challenge money. Let's educate or sensitize people at home when people are taking game in the self-examination. So I have that number. To work with my all the time. So to work with the number, say number on seeing kind of a thing. You should call him to order. Confusion on my create. I know mama work in that line of Nnadi Kanu niye.
Thank you so much. Sherry, briefly, Lori, Ejo, number one. F1 number one. I'm about number one. Then secondly, Sherry, they are doing this because they want relevance, they want position, then some money. Exactly. So I think that we've been dealing with seriously, and in fact, it's almost distracting us. But thank you so much. We will not relent. You know, you've taken this bold step on your even with like the power so that challenge challenge. Let me think about this. But one need the agenda or no matter what you say, they wouldn't. But we will talk to him. We will talk to Baba.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. Later, platform.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. At K Money, sir. Boya Sani, Boya Ma, Boya Chief. Baba India. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Pastor Majeure to me. Oh, yes, sir. Let's hear you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Ẹjọ́ sàkẹ́ tó máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ lórí àwọn nǹkan tá a ti discuss no because agenda ṣì kú o so kó má jẹ́ pé question wa lọ sí àwọn nǹkan tá a ti discuss àbí ṣé ká kúkú discuss gbogbo agenda wa tán ká wá ṣe máa raise gbogbo questions.
Okay, sir.
Ẹ má bínú, this is 12:25 lọ́dọ̀ wa àárọ̀ dẹ̀ ní Sunday ní àárọ̀ I will still go for my online. Normal emotion mobile.
Okay, well, I have a question to our post no can discuss the agenda wa how questions me to my wallet.
I just chip in my contribution.
Please quickly, sir, so that people will not be asking questions on what we are yet to touch. Sir.
Okay, now what I just want us to clarify is that now Mr. Tony Nnadi had advised us on what not to do. And from his explanation, I come to understand that when you become the friend of my enemy, automatically you have become my enemy. He said the IPOB, they are not working according to the agenda or the idea of the UN. And I heard, and I've seen it online, that there's going to be a joint demonstration, I think either in Italy, with Omooba. What do you think we should do, sir? What do you think we should do, ma? The whole house.
Thank you.
I think we're going to have a conversation with the coordinator of Italy, because some of what he said today, I think some of us did not know this thing about IPOB and Nnadi Kanu. But from what he said to us, if we join with these people, we delegitimize ourselves, and we then we send the wrong messages to the international community, and Ilano cannot afford to do that. So I think it's not a question we can answer in this meeting. You know, it's a question we will answer. We will have a conversation offline with the coordinator in Italy and take it from there. But thank you very much, Pastor Majeure, for raising it. It's a valid point after what we heard today.
Can I take my leave now, ma?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, sir. Thank you for staying up so late.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah. So please, other questions will be allowed in after we've discussed, or so that kò ní jẹ́ wípé àwọn ìbéèrè tó máa wá àwọn nǹkan tá a ti discuss ni. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú àti K-Money àti bàbá wa Adébọ̀wálé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ má bínú láti.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Me, Moboya, Madam Shola, or any of the diaspora executives. We only about clarify on contact on Solori platform in maybe 2 minutes or 1 minute. I want you to say what I invite Dr. Tony Lati Rubbish Mazin Nnadi Kanu. I want Igbos to wa lórí platform. But it's just a wrong signal. Tí wọ́n fẹ́ create. Maybe someone should just help us to clarify the truth and the facts Dr. Nnadi is trying to.
Ṣé mo lè clarify? Ṣé mo lè sọ̀rọ̀?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Oladimeji Bolanwa. Ìlànà Ọmọ Oòduà is taking is a Yoruba self-determination group that is taking the non-violent legal approach to get our freedom out of Nigeria. So because of this reason, we went into an alliance with several self-determination groups, socio-cultural groups in the Middle Belt, in the South-South, in the Southeast, and we led the Yoruba delegation to Ninas. Because we find out that if we do not join forces with other indigenous people across in the lower part of the Niger, the Fulanis are going to outmuscle us. So the approach of Ninas is that we are going to work within the legal framework. That's all. So that is why you see Tony Nnadi coming here to talk about the constitutional force majeure. So everything Barrister Tony Nnadi spoke about Nnamdi Kanu, he spoke it out of his own volition. Ìlànà Ọmọ Oòduà, we did not tell him to do anything. I'm speaking this on here, and you can take my word for it. And if he's here, I'm going to say it in his presence. So everything he has said, he said it on his own volition. Personally, I'm speaking as European coordinator for Ìlànà Ọmọ Oòduà, and I'm secretary of the Diaspora Secretariat. I don't have problem with Nnamdi Kanu, because Nnamdi Kanu is not speaking for me. I'm Yoruba. Nnamdi Kanu is speaking for the Igbos, for the Biafrans. So, and I respect what anybody is doing to get his freedom. So please, to my Igbo brothers, please do not take it personal. Ìlànà Ọmọ Oòduà did not invite Tony Nnadi to rubbish Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you very much. I think we need to proceed from here. Eshe Omooba.
Eshe, thank you so much. So now the security.
Wait. Sorry, Mark. I was just going to say something, but
Can I just say something?
Yes.
He did not rubbish him. He did not rubbish him. He simply spoke the truth as he saw it. So I don't accept that point. And all of these people who are unhappy, they can go on the Nina's website, or they can contact Mr. Nnadi direct. He's very approachable. Mr. Nnadi was invited to talk about the constitutional force majeure. That's what he did. And as you said, Bola, he spoke of his own volition. However, I do not believe, and I don't think it's right to say he rubbished Nnamdi Kanu. I have no issue with Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB. As you say, he doesn't represent me. He spoke the truth as he saw it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's please move to the security. Ẹni tí yóò máa ètò ààbò, ẹni tí yóò bá wa ṣe agbátẹrù àti kò kárí ètò ààbò àwọn náà ni ọ̀gbẹ́ni comrade Bọ̀dé ẹjọ́ mo rò pé wọ́n wà ń bí ibo tí ó rí wọn lẹ́ẹ̀kan yes sir comrade Bọ̀dé sir ẹjọ́ ẹ unmute ara yín ẹjọ́ sir ẹ show face kẹ́dẹ̀ bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ in 30 seconds bí àwọn tó kù lórí ààbò kí ni nǹkan tẹ́ ní fún wa tàbí kí ni àmọ̀ràn. Comrade Bọ̀dé ó dàbí ẹni pé bóyá wọn sí níjókòó.
Dr. Adeyeye, move on to the next item, please.
Yeah, thank you. So quickly, I want to say this. Kí ni ìdí? Why do we need to raise fund? Torí lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn, Omooba Adéjọkẹ́ sọ díẹ̀ fún wa. Bàtà sọ àwọn tó máa wà ní charge, fundraising and the likes. Kí ni díẹ̀? Wọ́n ti sọ díẹ̀ fún wa mbẹ̀. For welfare of our people, we need to raise fund. Ọ̀pọ̀ ìgbà ni wọ́n máa ń pè diaspora tó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ nílé. Nǹkan báyìí máa ṣẹlẹ̀, a ní ìdí owó. Mo lè sọ fún un pé owó ribiribi ni a máa ń send láti diaspora sílé òwúrọ̀ àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí. For security of our people, ọ̀pọ̀ nǹkan ni ò hàn sí wa. Bá a ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, àwọn èèyàn ń bẹ nínú igbó tí wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ tọ̀sán tòru lórí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn Fúlàní and the likes. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí wọ́n ní ìdí ohun èlò, wọ́n ní nǹkan, wọ́n ní ìdí oríṣiríṣi ìnáwó ló ń ṣẹyọ. Ara àwọn ìdí nìyí tá a ṣe ní ìdàtí raise owó. Then láti fund àwọn rallies wa, a ní ìdàtí raise owó fún àwọn rallies wa. Ẹ wo èyí tá a ṣe lé ní báyìí, our rallies dẹ̀ sì kù bí Omooba Adéjọkẹ́ ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan. So we need money for all this. So ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká gbìyànjú. Then àwọn iṣẹ́ náà ń bẹ tí ò ṣe é máa sọ jáde tó jẹ́ pé àwọn náà nílò owó bíi láti lọ rí àwọn ẹni bí ẹni lágbàáyé lórí ìrìn àjò tá à ń rìn lọ́wọ́ yìí. Mi ò fẹ́ sọ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. So gbogbo àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí, àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ yìí nílò owó. Nítorí náà ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká gbìyànjú díẹ̀ láti contribute àti láti ti bá àwọn èèyàn wa náà sọ̀rọ̀ fún owó. Mega rally máa wá ní June 12. Eléyìí náà máa nídìí ìnáwó gan. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí ni àwọn olórí wa ní secretariat. June
5.
No, June 12.
June 12.
The rich one will come in.
Àmọ̀ pé wà mà, àmọ́ sọ nípa mo sọ mí fún yín bóyá tẹ̀ tí mọ̀. There's going to be a mega rally ní June 12. And we are going to talk about this because it involves both home and abroad. But nílé àkókò wọn fi sílẹ̀ àti gbogbo iṣẹ́ takuntakun, they risk their lives in most times. So the financial part of it, ọ̀run wa ló máa ń wà ní diaspora. So àwọn ìdí wọ̀nyí a ní ìdí owó. Lórí ti June 12 yẹn, a máa tún sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ n tó kan diaspora and what we need to do from us, different countries. Ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà, mo wá fẹ́ make àwọn clarifications kan kíákíá, but ká tó make ẹ jẹ́ ká kúkú sọ̀rọ̀ June 12 yẹn ká sọ parí. June 12, there will be rally back home and ní diaspora náà rallies máa wà ní various countries. Mo believe pé àwọn coordinators countries kọ̀ọ̀kan wọ́n wà níbí. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, let's go back and work on this. Gbogbo mo sọ pé a mọ̀ pé lábúrò tá a wà yìí, we can't just go on the street and say rallies. We need approvals from the right quarter and the likes. Comrade Bọ́láńlé wà ń bí, Madam Sarako wà ń bí. Ó lè ní nǹkan tó fẹ́ bá wa sọ lórí rally yẹn. But I'm just saying it now that let's please plan and prepare. Our activities wọ̀nyí are needed. Tí rally bá lọ in all countries, ẹ mọ bó ṣe máa lálẹ́ tó pé ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà wọ́n gbọ́ ní London, ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà wọ́n náà ṣe ní Italy, ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà Germany. The same day tí rally yẹn dẹ̀ lọ tó dẹ̀ lọ káàkiri, ẹ rí pé ó ní ìwọ̀n tó máa gbé, ó dẹ̀ ní iṣẹ́ tó máa ṣe. But on this rally, Comrade Bolariwa Wambi, Mama wa Salako Wambi, Madam Salakoma, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just to say that we are organizing so at home they're organizing, and we're setting up an organizing committee in the diaspora to coordinate the rallies across the different countries. We'll get back to you through your diaspora coordinators.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Then, Comrade Bolariwa, I think this is cleared. Orally, one get back to but George Kaloma prepare necessary approval. Tabani Datiba and George Kalogba issue. Then I want to quickly make these clarifications. Be once if similar. Number one, that Ilana Omoodua is not part of consulate that is seen all around. We are not spread Kakitana or consulate Ilana Omoodua money by, and we are not part of it. Secondly, Ilana Omoodua didn't take part in the passport. Àwọn kan tó ń ṣe tán láwọn ṣe passport Yorùbá nation tán flaunt káàkiri Ìlànà Omoodua ò mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀. Ibi tọ́rọ̀ wá sì dé ṣe passport kan ló kàn. A fẹ́ jàjàǹgbara yìí, a ní iṣẹ́ láti ṣe. Bàtà bá ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn tán, ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn tó ń ṣe léyìí wọ́n ní agenda. Àdẹ̀ni jẹ́ kí ẹ kó distract wa. Please let us just know that we are not part of this. Then Ìlànà Omoodua, we want to make it clear to everyone. Ìlànà Omoodua is not under any organization, even including the so-called Global Directorate. And they are not part of us, we are not part of them. As a matter of fact, wọ́n fẹ́ distract wa, ọ̀pọ̀ nǹkan náà lè gbé wá, ta ní ìdájẹ́ kó yé gbogbo ilé. We don't have anything to do with them. Òótọ́ tó mẹ́mẹ́ ni pé àwọn tán lọ dá Global Directorate sílẹ̀, orí platform Ìlànà yìí náà lọ ti kú. They left this platform, or create the platform here, and so many things now share to distract us, which we have decided to remain focused. Please, under no circumstance do we say we are dealing with them or doing anything with them on the platform of Ìlànà Omoodua. Àní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú wọn. Tí n bá sọ̀rọ̀ ìtàn, ó lè ṣe é ṣe pé ìyáàfin wa wọ́n lè fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀. She might have one or two things, and Comrade Bolariwa might want to talk about it, but I'm making it clear that we have nothing to do with them. We are not under anybody. Ìlànà Omoodua is an umbrella body that constitutes of so many groups. Esheu, thank you so much. Then, Ìlànà Omoodua, diaspora, ẹ jẹ́ ká tiẹ̀ wò nígbà tá a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. What have we achieved? In recent times, mo fẹ́ sọ yìí, because a ti gbọ́ àwọn ti tẹ́lẹ̀ tàtẹ̀yìnwá, a ti gbọ́ wọn. Let's talk about the recent times now. One, Ìlànà Omoodua, we funded the training of over 1,000 Yoruba youths in different vocational disciplines. Mo rò wípé this is an achievement. We've been empowering our youths, and this has been costing us money, which Ìlànà Omoodua in the diaspora has been doing. Wọ́n ti kọ́ àwọn èèyàn painting, solar installation, oríṣiríṣi nǹkan wọ̀nyẹn ni wọ́n ti kọ́ wọn nílé, tó jẹ́ pé Ìlànà Omoodua ló dẹ̀ fund ẹ̀. Then rallies across Yoruba land, bó bá ṣe rí tó ń pariwo káàkiri yẹn, iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ Ìlànà Omoodua láti diaspora ni àwọn là ń fọ́ǹdẹ̀. Ṣé ẹ rí i pé pẹ̀lú ohun tá à ń kà sílẹ̀ báyìí a nílò owó. Then Ìlànà Omoodua ti provide the gadgets fún sí home office nílé bíi drone and some other things tó máa ran ìjàngbara yìí lọ́wọ́. For instance, wọ́n stream morality ní live ní àwọn Germany, the German chapter of Ìlànà Omoodua, àwọn náà gbé drone tán lò sílẹ̀, wọ́n fọ́n kan fi máa ṣiṣẹ́ lọ. So as the A rally was on, the drone was there streaming live. And on this, we want to say big thanks to the Germans. Ìlànà Omoodua, ẹ ṣé gan o. Should I say Ìlànà Omoodua Germans? Ẹ ṣé gan, thank you so much for this great work and thanks for this support. And at this junction, I want to say it's a challenge. You know, I felt challenged. Immediately, mo send the sound with me to the platform. We all have to be doing the same to support this struggle. So, as show Germans, thank you so much. So, with all this that we have been saying, we can see that really we need to raise money. And not money alone, we all need to be more dedicated and be more devoted to this struggle. So please, I am begging us, let us put in our best. Ètí mo bá fi parí rẹ̀, tí a bá wo ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn tá a wà níbí, a sọ pé Brazil ni mo ti wá, South Africa ni mo ti wá. Let us please go to our various countries. Let us go and work and mobilize people in big numbers. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ torí Ọlọ́run, iṣẹ́ yẹn ò tíì tó. Country mi, ojú kan pé náà ti ń ṣèpàdé, tá a bá dẹ̀ ka ìlànà tó wà ńbẹ̀, bóyá wọn ju 30 lọ. Àádẹ́ sọ pé a ní ìlànà country báyìí. Iṣẹ́ yẹn ò tíì tó. Gbogbo wa ni à ń pè níjà, including èmi. Though we are working on this seriously, let all of us please go back home and work. Let there be Ìlànà Omoodua virtually in all states, in all provinces. Let's have our people in big numbers. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká kàn jókòó sí country kan tá a wà, káwa 30 dẹ̀ máa ṣe pàdé, ká dẹ̀ máa pariwo pé ìlànà one country. Yes, our men, but we can do more. Thank you so much. On this, mo fẹ́ pe àwọn ọ̀gá mi, Comrade Bọ́lárìnwá wà níbí, Madam Salako wà níbí. If there's anything they want to contribute to this, lẹ́yìn ìgbà yẹn, àwọn abẹ̀rẹ̀ sí gba ìbéèrè. Comrade Bọ́lárìnwá sir. Okay, Madam Salako.
I was going to, we've got some people with their hands up. Now, some of us have been here since 5 o'clock. It's now 8:15. So what I'm going to suggest, as I did before, is we'll take questions till 8:30, and then the meeting will finish. And the questions will come in under AOB. So, Dr. Adeyeye, I can see some people have questions. If we start taking the questions, and it's a hard finish at 8:30. So, might be new. We've been here since 5 o'clock.
We can make it snappy. We have just 5 hands up. We can make it sharp, please, so that they won't go at heavy. Thank you. Yes, at K Money. Yes,
ẹ kú wájú sá, mo kí gbogbo yín o. Mọ́mí wa Salako àti ẹ̀yin dádì wa, a kí gbogbo yín. Sharp, nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí àkáǹtì ìlànà central yìí, ọ̀nà ni mo fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sá, why tí ẹ ṣe distribute àkáǹtì yẹn sí gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣe àwọn agitator wa, kẹ́ send ẹ̀ sí wọn káàkiri all platform like UAE ń sìn, a ní Mr. Omooba owó ní UAE, then àwọn tó wà ní South Africa also, àwọn tó wà ní káàkiri bí Mr. Gbogbo àwọn tó jẹ́ ti ìlànà kí n má dárúkọ wọn, mi ò dárúkọ wọn, mi ìjìnlẹ̀ Marcus, bẹ́ẹ̀ káàkiri láwọn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n jẹ́ ìlànà. Then last time mo wo interview bàbá pẹ̀lú Mayegun Diary, and then Maye náà wọ́n request fún àkáǹtì ìlànà, so láti fi sórí platform wọn, àwa náà dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé platform tó heavy òní ti Mayegun Diary, ó dẹ̀ ní more followers, so wọ́n bá bàbá sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́jọ́ yẹn, so ìyẹn jẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ohun tí mo fẹ́ sọ. And lastly sá, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo bẹ̀ gbogbo yín sá, ẹ ń ṣe iṣẹ́ takuntakun sá, adẹ̀ ń gbọ́ àwọn kan láwọn ń ṣe gbá bí wọ́n ṣàwòlọ́ yẹn, bí akẹ́ bá bàbá sọ, kẹ́ make the announce publicly, ẹ jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wa mọ̀ pé ok bó ṣe ń lọ rí o a ò tí ì dórí passport o a ò lọ sí kinní àwa kọ́ la wà ń bẹ̀ yẹn o so ẹ̀yin ẹ wà pẹ̀lú wa níbí so káwọn èèyàn wa kan lè mọ bí tí ẹ dé dúró ẹ ṣé gan sir God bless.
ẹ má bínú ṣé mo lè sọ̀rọ̀ sí yẹn lórí tẹ́sán yẹn ṣẹ́rí tó bá di láàárọ̀ ọ̀la ẹ tún rí another funny thing lórí internet tó bá tún di lọ́túnla ẹ tún máa rí another funny thing lórí internet. You cannot stop our people from behaving the way they are behaving. Kò sí nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ lè ṣe sí. Because two people no join struggle. There are two people that join these struggles. This struggle. We have the reactionaries and we have the revolutionaries. Àwọn revolutionaries ẹ lè rí wọn kàn máa ṣe jọbọjọbọ káàkiri báyìí láíláí. Àwọn reactionaries àwọn yẹn náà ti yan prime minister nígbà tí wọn ò tí ì gba òmìnira. Àwọn yẹn náà ń ṣe international passport nígbà tí wọn ò tí ì ja ìjàngbara. Àwọn yẹn ló dẹ̀ ń ṣe embassy nígbà tó jẹ́ pé wọn ò tí ì ṣe iṣẹ́ 20% of this struggle. So and mo á fẹ́ sọ eléyìí any question tẹ́ ẹ bá rí ẹ contact the coordinator yín. Gbogbo ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà coordinators ló ní central committee tán wà. And everybody is properly briefed on latest events. So what your coordinator does not tell you is not genuine. And we also have a Twitter page, Ilana Omoodua Media, at Ilana Omoodua Media. And we also have a Facebook page, Ilana Omoodua International. So any information we need to pass, Ilana Omoodua International, it is fake. And any information you don't see on our website, it is fake. Those are the official channel of information. Ilana Omoodua has more than 170 groups in Ilana Omoodua alone that came to form Ilana Omoodua. So you cannot stop people from doing what you are doing. In fact, DSS will even sponsor some people to be doing what they are doing. So we need to be disciplined and not be distracted by these fifth columnists. And as regards we are going to do that. The lórí collaboration pẹ̀lú àwọn sọ̀rọ̀sọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run ṣeun Ọmooba Adéjọkẹ́ ń bẹ lórí ìjókòó. Ìjìnlẹ̀ Marcus bàbá mi Ìjìnlẹ̀ Marcus is our media secretary in the diaspora. Àwọn náà ń bẹ lórí ìjókòó. So we believe báwọn náà ń gbọ́ wa báyẹn pé they know what to do and we are going to get across to them. Shall you understand? So mi lè sọ jù báyẹn lọ. So ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Ẹ ṣé, hello, thank you so much. Mo rò pé ìdáhùn yẹn ti yé wa dáadáa. Hello sir. Hello? And mo ní nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ lórí UAE. Ẹ ṣé sir. Personally, mo rò pé ti gbádùn ìdáhùn tí wọ́n fún wa lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí. There are still more to come, but ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, mo ti ń wá UAE. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ send the number yìí sí mi directly tàbí sí Comrade Bọ́lárìnwá lórí nǹkan tí ẹ raise ní meeting lọ́jọ́ tí Madam Salako tọ́rọ mi wá bá yín. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ send the number yìí personally so that I can communicate yín. Ẹ ṣé, thank you. Yes sir, Mrs. Ojo. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ máa jẹ́ ká make a brief.
Sorry, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ má bínú pé mo cutting number tẹ́ béèrè yẹn ó wà pẹ̀lú Comrade Bọ́lárìnwá so wọ́n lè fún yín.
Okay sir.
Wọ́n lè fún yín, ẹ ṣé gan.
Yes sir. Yes, Mrs. Ojo.
Ti UAE tẹ́ sọ ni mo respond.
Yes sir.
All right.
Question mi lọ sọ́dọ̀ Dr. Adeyeye.
Yes ma'am.
Ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé àwọn directorate pé ìlànà wọn ò ní nǹkan kan ṣe pẹ̀lú wọn. Kò yé mi dáadáa torí nǹkan tí mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé àwọn directorate yẹn mo rò pé group of people ni wọ́n tó jẹ́ pé they are working towards self-determination. So, and recently, mo rí pé there are a group of people don't work towards the unity of all the leaders of every ẹgbẹ́. So, kò yé mi bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ pé you don't have anything to do with them.
Eshima, thank you. Monica, my son, by the copy, Comrade Bolaniwa. Comrade Bolaniwa.
Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, we are live. We are live, and I'll be very, very moderate the way I talk. Firstly, we need unity.
Yes.
But unity, graveyard unity ni abi master servant unity. 1. 2. When we say unity, nígbà táwọn kankan kóra wọn jọ tán sọ pé ìlànà is under us. Kákó gbogbo structure wa ká mọ kó bọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn. That's not unity. 3. When we talk about bringing everybody, Baba Akintoye gangan náà sọ. Wọ́n ní bàbá ti máa ń sọ ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn, mo kí bàbá mi o. Bàbá máa ń sọ pé téèyàn bá sọ pé gbogbo kí gbogbo Yorùbá kó wá sọ́ndà ẹgbẹ́ kan, wọ́n ní ò lè work. Bàbá tún sọ àwọn tó mọ̀ pé bí Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè ṣe dá Yorùbá nìyẹn, but a lè collaborate. Now, ìgbà táwọn global directorate tán sọ pé everybody wá, everybody mi ò fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn. Bí wọ́n pé ṣé wọ́n ti contact Yorùbá One Voice under the leadership of Iba Gani Adams, Ààrẹ Gani Adams. Ṣé wọ́n ti contact Afẹ́nifẹ́re, Bapa Adébánjọ? Ṣé wọ́n ti contact àwọn Yorùbá World Assembly? Ṣé wọ́n ti contact àwọn Yorùbá World Global Alliance? Charlie, there was a letter to jáde tá láti diaspora secretariat. What we said was this: if there's going to be a working principle, there should be an article of association. There should be a memorandum of association written in black and white. And this is how we are going to have the modus of operandi of our relationship. For instance, some people around were claiming without putting Ilana Omooba there. We all live in Western world. Acknowledge reference in the world of academics. You are issuing communique and you are not putting Ilana Omooba and the executives of Ilana Omooba working for the past 20 years for NINAS to be accomplished. We are not stupid people. The same thing you are saying, you are global alliance indirect. I'm not being on to you. Ilana Omooba and people in Ilana Omooba, formerly in YWC, our like Yoruba UNPO to United Nations. You now came around, said the diaspora coordinator of Ilana Omooba, who was the foreign affairs minister. When we are still fighting for freedom. Can you understand? So we spoke to Baba Akintoye, and Baba Akintoye said, no problem. We should go there and work with them and provide leadership. Because they might recall what I'm saying and say, go and send it again to Baba. We said we should go there and provide leadership. That's what Baba told us. That Ilana Omooba is the leading organization. But àwọn architect Basọ̀run Adéṣọ̀kan, architect George Akínọlá, àwọn executives of Ilana Omooba. Káwọn kan wá jókòó bí kankan mọ issue communique, báwọn làwọn organize rally yẹn, báwọn làwọn on ground. You understand? This is not supposed to be. We can go offline, Omooba, we can go offline, no problem. This is not supposed to be. You understand? We have no problem in working with anybody.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Majeure and Ijile, please go offline.
So we are looking for the same thing. wants the same thing, which is Oduduwa Republic, Yoruba nation. But báwo la ṣe fẹ́ ṣe? Ọlọ́run ṣe gbogbo wa pátá ń sìn, mo fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ń sìn. There used to be an account.
Hold on, sir.
Ẹ ṣé.
Continue.
I want them to go offline. I'm waiting.
I want to continue.
I'm already offline. Ijinle is already offline. Ilana is offline.
I can hear Ijinle radio.
Ijinle is offline.
The African porter, please go offline.
Ijinle is offline. Ilana is offline.
Oduduwa TV radio.
Okay. Now, there was a particular issue.
Is only TVR offline? Is only TVR offline?
Yes, home.
Okay. Please. Omooba. Can someone end the program over there, please?
Let me call him on phone.
Shall I remove him? Shall I remove him?
Okay. Now, there was a particular issue tó ṣẹlẹ̀. Owó kan wà tá a pè ní Yoruba Rescue Fund. Now, ìgbà tá a dá fund yẹn sílẹ̀, it was a combination of Yoruba One Voice, Oòduà TV radio náà wà ńbẹ̀, Citizen wà ńbẹ̀, Ìlànà Ọmọ Oòduà, I represent